So today is August 4th, 2021. The time is 7:36 p.m. and I am calling to order the Baldwin Park regular City Council meeting. City Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Here.
Yeah, but I think your mic's off.
Okay, sorry. Councilmember Daniel Damian,
Here.
Councilmember Monica Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Paul Hernandez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Alejandra Avila,
Here.
and Mayor Emanuel Estrada.
Here. Thank you for that. And I believe we have Pastor Jackson here. Is that correct? Pastor Jackson, would you like to lead us in an invocation?
Heavenly Father, we come before you now in the name of the Lord. We bless you and we thank you. Say to acknowledge you in all of our ways and you would direct our path. And this is what we need, your divine direction. Lord, we need your divine protection over our fire departments, Lord God, with the fires that are happening here in California. We need your divine protection over the police department that's rolling the streets to serve and to protect. We need you with our businesses, Lord, that the businesses will just begin to flourish once again, Lord. Touch our school district, Lord God, that our children, Lord, will get the proper education, Lord, that they will be able to grow, and even being on the seat here at City Council or even President of the United States. Tear down the strongholds of drugs and alcoholism in the city, Lord God. Lord, we're asking you, Lord God, with the pandemic, not only with the pandemic of the flu, there's a pandemic of homelessness that's running rampant as well, Lord. So we're asking you to see about these things for us. Touch our city council, Lord God, and giving them wisdom and knowledge and understanding and how to run the city in the right and proper way that it will grow and prosper. Touch our families, Lord God, the mothers and the fathers that are worried about their children and bringing their children together with unity in their homes, Lord. And we thank you for everything that you're doing for this great city of Baldwin Park. In the name of the Lord we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson, for being here today. City Manager Enrique, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everyone, please rise. You are already risen. Thank you. Face the flag. Place your hand over your heart. Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to start off by thanking all of you for being here and, of course, being patient as we had a little bit of a time delay. At this moment, the City Council would like to close on behalf of Tony Damian, Councilmember Damian's brother, and we'd like to observe a moment of silence for the late Antonio. So at this moment, if we can observe a moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. If we can please have Mr. Damien's mother, his daughter, and his wife join us up here if they are here with us. La familia de Tony, su mamá, su hija y su esposa, si pueden venir aquí arriba con nosotros, por favor.
Everybody that came with the Damien family, can you come up here, please?
We want to thank you for being here with us, and I know that the whole family is going through a hard time. I know that it's never easy to lose a father, a sibling, or a child. So on behalf of the city council, city staff, and the city in general, we'd like to present the mother with some flowers. Gloria Damien. And of course we have Alexis Damien. And the whole Damien family, I think it goes without being said that we all know the Damien family because we all know about Danny, and we're all supportive here, and it goes without being said that you have the full support of not just the city staff and the city, but the community as a whole. So please, I encourage you to please reach out if you need anything from any of us, and we're here to be a supporting phone for you all.
Ay, Espíritu Santo. Les quiero dar las gracias, pues en español, porque yo no hablo inglés. Muchas gracias a todos y bendiciones para todos. Yo estoy con el corazón partido, pero aceptando la voluntad de Dios. Y pido mucho por todos.
Quiero darles el pésame. Me duele de todo corazón todo lo que están pasando. Es una situación muy difícil para toda la familia. Hemos estado orando por ustedes. Quiero que sepan que estamos aquí para lo que necesiten y de todo corazón. Lo siento mucho.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. I also want to express my deepest condolences to the Damien family. I was deeply saddened to hear about the passing of Councilmember Damien's brother and your son and husband, father. And so I just want to express that we were praying for him as a city, and we offer our condolences, but also our support during this very difficult time. Mis condolencias a la familia Damien. Gracias.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. This is never an easy time when someone loses, a brother, a father, a husband, a son. Please rest assured that, Tony will not be forgotten as he continues in your memories during this challenging time. As you can see, he's well beloved and loved, amongst his friends and family, and his spirit will continue on. So please, take this opportunity to think about all the greatness that he has. Obviously, he's left us way too early, but it's never easy. But with that, our deepest condolences and our prayers to you and your family, Damien.
I don't know if any other city staff has any comments.
Mayor.
Yes, City Clerk.
Thank you. And I'm going to say my comments in Spanish. No hay pena más profunda que la de perder a un ser querido, a un fallecimiento de un ser querido. Y mi sentido pésame para la familia Damián, que el espíritu de él siempre esté con ustedes. Y acuérdense que un día todos vamos a llegar a ese punto y vamos a volver a ver a nuestros queridos, pero va a ser una jornada muy larga para algunos de nosotros, pero estamos aquí como ciudad para ustedes, para apoyarlos, y que el fallecimiento de él no sea en vano, y que el mensaje siga adelante, que tenemos que vacunarnos contra este virus que es algo imperdonable. No tiene bordos, no tiene ya modo de pararlo más que vacunarnos. Así que, por favor, a toda la ciudad, a los que todavía están pensando y no quieren vacunarse, por favor, háganlo, porque no queremos que las familias sigan batallando y sufriendo como esta linda familia. Mi sentido pésame.
Muchas gracias, familia Damián, por venir hoy aquí para ofrecerles nuestro apoyo, nuestro cariño, nuestro amor. He admirado muchísimo el espíritu de un peleador, le digo al Councilman Damian, que tiene toda la familia, un espíritu fuerte, un gran cariño y un gran espíritu. Al igual que todos los council members y el staff del City Baldwin Park, me uno a su pésame. Gracias.
Les quiero agradecer por dejarnos ser parte de este momento tan íntimo y, como les dije al principio, la ciudad, el City Council y la comunidad en general está con ustedes en cualquier cosa que necesiten o cualquier tipo de apoyo que ocupen moviendo hacia adelante. Councilmember Damian, I'd like to present you with a memorial scroll, and I really do hope that you and your family find the strength to move on and find peace during this hard time.
No es en vano decir, tiempo pasa, pero nosotros siempre llevamos por dentro el dolor. Tenemos que compartir y Dios bendiga hoy.
where do I start? First of all, I want to thank everybody, mayor, city staff. There's so many to name here, but I just want you to know that my family and I, from the bottom of our hearts, sincerely appreciate each and every one of you, my council colleagues, Councilmember Hernandez, Councilmember Garcia. Thank you very much for the outreach and for putting me in touch with Reina from Kaiser. That was a huge help for us. So, Councilmember Garcia, thank you very much for that. City Clerk Marlene Garcia, Marie Contreras, Mayor, Vice Mayor Avila, staff. I mean, every single one of you guys have no idea how much your support, your love, your prayers have kept us going. You know, that's really given us the strength that we need during this difficult time, especially since it's something so fresh and unexpected. I decided to do this tonight, not because we want sympathy, but because I wanted to send a clear message. I wanted to use this, and I obviously had the conversation with my mom before I went to do this, was I don't want to impose on anyone's beliefs. You know, we all have our beliefs, and we all look at things in a different way. And I respect everyone's beliefs, everyone's decisions. Just so I can give you a brief background of what really happened was my mother, who's 81 years old, thank God I still have her. Her cousin, my aunt, who's 3 days apart from her, also 81. My brother, who would be turning 43 on August 28th, all contracted COVID. My aunt had both vaccines. She had a mild fever for about 1 to 2 days. My mother had her first vaccine, thank God, and she's had worse cold than the symptoms that she got during COVID. She still went through the 5-day infusion treatment at Kaiser, just for more of a precautionary measures because of her age, but thank God, here she is, strong as ever, because this is one of the most strongest women, not only in faith, but in every aspect that she's done. And, you know, I'm very blessed to still have her. And my brother, Tony, who unfortunately was, only 42 years old, didn't have any of his vaccines. And he ended up in the hospital with COVID pneumonia, was in there for about 2 weeks. And I seen day by day, through FaceTime, because we couldn't be there with him, how his health deteriorated, how his oxygen got worse day by day, how it progressed, until he got to the point to where he went into life support. And I got to hear his final wishes to me, which were, I love you, brother. Take care of my girls. Take care of my little girl. Those words, when someone that you love so much tells you those things, I mean, it just breaks your heart when you see their family, the little girl, going through what they're going through. So if I can use my family's pain and our pain to give a message to every single one of you out there who has second thoughts about being vaccinated, I'm telling you, please go get vaccinated. The vaccines work. I was one of those people that were on the fence. Not that I didn't believe on the vaccine. I just wanted to wait a little bit more to see if there was more research done, because I felt like we were dealing with a double-edged sword. And I understand that, and I know that there's a lot of people who feel the way we do. My brother was one that felt the same way I did, and look what ended up happening. My family was divided. Some of them went and got the vaccine. Some of us waited. Now, when my brother was in the hospital, we all went and got our vaccine. I've gotten my first, and I'll be getting my second at Kaiser on Friday. But I'm telling you, if I can avoid at least one family from not going through the pain that we're going through right now because of something that could have been pretty much avoided, I'm just pleading with each and every one of you to please get vaccinated. Please don't put your family through the pain that we're currently going through. Thank you all very much. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys have given my family. And this is something that I'm always going to take with me in my heart. Thank you very much. Just want to say one last thing to my family that's here. I love you guys very much. Mom, la amo mucho, madre.
Councilmember Damien, I want to say thank you for the courage to share that message, and to also just reiterate that we will be closing this council meeting on behalf of your brother, Antonio Tony Damien. Thank you again.
So I want to thank the Damien family and, of course, Councilmember Damien for being here today. And next, I believe we have a presentation from the Valley Water County Districts.
So much. Thank you. Also wanted to say thank you, Councilmember Damien, for your message, and my sincere condolences, Damien family. Great. Hello, City Council members and members of the community. I am Jennifer Santana, Baldwin Park's representative for the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District. I'm here with our General Manager and Upper District team to present to you, in partnership with Valley County Water District, our state of the district. We'll be updating you on the health of our water supply and highlight some of the things that we've done along with the community to help combat the current drought and prepare for future challenges to our water supply like climate change. Now more than ever, our water supply needs our utmost attention, and we at Upper District are committed to continuing to serve reliable, clean, and affordable water to Baldwin Park. And with that, I would like to welcome Tom Love, Upper District's General Manager.
Thank you, Director Santana. And I do want to say a few words. Director Santana has been on our board for 3 years now, and I have to say she is the most engaged. She asks the hard questions, which I have to try and answer, and she's doing a great job representing the community of Baldwin Park. So today what I want to talk about is the current critically dry year we're seeing in the western United States, and this is national and international news right now. We just came off the heels of the most significant drought in 1,200 years. And really what we realize is we never really came out of that last drought. And in fact, if you look over the last 20 years, we are in a 20-year period of really dry precipitation, interrupted by a couple of years where we had much higher than normal precipitation. And so I want to explain that situation, but also let you know what collectively we, the communities, the water industry regionally has done to prepare for a situation like this. Frankly, Southern California is in much better shape in terms of water supply than much of the state of California. But we still need to do more, and that's the last part of our message. So I'll talk about some of the activities and incentives and education about water conservation. And then Jose Martinez with Valley County Water District will talk more specifically on what's going on here, right here in Baldwin Park. So next slide, please. So just a little background, our water supply, we're actually fortunate here in the San Gabriel Valley. This system of reservoirs up San Gabriel Canyon, the Santa Fe Spreading Grounds, which I know you're familiar with, and the San Gabriel River, we actually capture over 95% of the rain that falls in the upper watershed. In other words, the rain that falls north of Whittier Narrows Dam, over 95% of that rain never makes it to the ocean. We capture it, we store it underground for our water supply. And so that's why we have 80% local water. That number, though, is a long-term average over the last few years because it's been so dry here locally. That number is more like 75%. The rest of it comes from imported water from Northern California through the State Water Project or from the Colorado River from the Colorado River Aqueduct. We are a member of Metropolitan Water District, and they are a state water contractor, and they built the Colorado River Aqueduct almost 90 years ago. Next slide. So the snowpack on the Colorado River is 88% of normal. That doesn't sound too bad, but something really surprised even people in the water industry. The runoff is only 31% of normal. And what's happening with climate change is those upper elevations in the mountains, the trees are starting to get their leaves earlier in the spring, the snow melts faster, and the trees and the plants start to grow and they suck up water. In addition, because it has been so dry, all of those watersheds, the soil is very dry and it soaks up a lot more of the water. We are seeing the same thing on the State Water Project. In the State Water Project this year, the allocation is 5%. So Metropolitan has signed up for about 2 million acre feet. They're only going to get 100,000 acre feet of that. And that's really important. While I'll show you later, Metropolitan has a lot of water in storage. It's a good thing they do. Unfortunately, most of that storage occurs on the Colorado River, so they have to manage their system to try and utilize that storage. And then here locally, it's just been a really dry year, 34% of normal this year. Next slide. So the governor has issued drought proclamations and drought declarations. Initially, it was over 2 counties, and then he broadened that out to almost all of California. The exception is Southern California within metropolitan service area, and I referred to the fact we're frankly in better shape. And the other is the San Francisco County as well. But he has asked all of us to voluntarily, regardless of whether our county is in his drought declaration, to voluntarily conserve an additional 15%. Next slide. So what have we done to prepare for this? So over decades, Metropolitan has increased their capacity to store water by tenfold. They built Diamond Valley Lake, a $2 billion project. They have done agreements for groundwater banking in the Central Valley through agreements on the Colorado River. They have their own storage account in Lake Mead. And so you can see over the last number of years, starting in 2012, that set a record amount of water in metropolitan storage ever. And it was fortuitous that happened because right after that, we hit the first phase of this drought. And we used that storage. It did what it was supposed to do. It provided water supply reliability. And then we had a couple of good years. 2017 was very good on the State Water Project, and they were able to replenish that storage and set a new record for water and storage at the beginning of 2021. And obviously, it's a good thing they have because they're projecting they're going to use about 700,000 acre feet of that this year. And we don't know if next year is going to be dry, but we're assuming it will be. So we need to do everything we can to preserve that water we have in storage. The other slide just shows the storage in the canyon basins up San Gabriel Canyon and how that varies from year to year with a very, very wet year in 2004. That was the wettest year in 100 years. And we stored the water. We captured that water. And although this covers up the end of the chart, right now it's been much lower than that. And the local storage levels are much lower. Next slide. So the Baldwin Park Key Well, I think you're all familiar with it. It is the well that we measure the health of the basin, and it's been used for 70 years as our measurement. And so prior to what we call the groundwater basin adjudication, everyone was pumping whatever they needed. And in the early 1970s, Water Master was created, and the basin was managed. I believe it was the third groundwater basin in the state of California to become a managed groundwater basin. And you see that trend line, and that's the key well level. It flattened out. The adjudication did what it was intended to do, and it stabilized the water levels. But off the end of the chart, you can't see it with the screen there, but recently with this drought, it started to decline again, and so Watermaster has taken actions to collect money to buy more imported water, and you'll see at the end of that chart, we are starting to go back up. This year it's actually going down, but we have done some things to get it go back up. For example, in 2019, through an agreement with Metropolitan, we brought 100,000 acre feet of water and stored it in the ground, and our agreement with Metropolitan is that we don't have to pay for that. We pay for that over a 5-year period because it's $80 million worth of water, and we can't afford all that all at once. But it was a move to get more water stored in the basin. Next slide. But the community has responded. When Governor Brown called for conservation in 2014, we responded. But we've been doing this for years. And you can see from about 2005, 2006 to today, we have reduced our water consumption on a per capita basis by over 20%. It's a great job. And we're asking the community to continue that and even do more with this critically dry year. Next slide. So what we can do to help is we have a number of programs, both social media, outreach, educational, online classes for smart irrigation, and incentives for water-saving devices. You can find them on our website, also Metropolitan's Be Water Wise website. We have community outreach booths. You can reach out to Valley County Water District, and we really want to focus on what can our communities do to continue that ethic of saving water. Next slide. This is Jose's, but one thing I wanted to mention on a regional basis, so we haven't given up on getting more water for the region, and so there's 2 projects, major projects that are underway. The first is the Delta Conveyance. The State Water Project under Edmund Brown was never finished. Governor Brown, in his last term in office, made a major push to build 2 tunnels. Governor Newsom said, maybe 2 is too much, he'll support 1. So they are moving forward with early studies and engineering on a single tunnel. What that will do is increase the reliability of the State Water Project from an average of 40% allocation to an average of 60%, which is huge for us. The second project is local, and it is a drought-proof supply. It is the Regional Recycle Water Project, Metropolitan, LA County Sanitation District are partners on that. And it will produce 150,000 acre-feet of water a year. And the pipeline, it's going all over. It's going to Orange County, LA County, but one of the major legs of the pipeline is coming right up along the San Gabriel River and will put water in the San Gabriel spreading grounds. And it will reduce our upper district's dependence on imported water from the State Water Project by over 95%. And it is moving along. It'll take some time. It'll take about 10 years before that project's completed. But we certainly support that with Upper District and Valley County Water District, and we certainly would encourage all of our cities to support that project as well. So now I'll turn it over to Jose to go over the local water conservation efforts.
Thank you, Tom. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for having us here. Councilmember Danny Damon, my condolences to you and your family. I will certainly use every platform that I have to continue promoting the vaccine, and any avenue that I have, I will certainly increase my passion towards it and getting individuals vaccinated out there. With that, Tom did a great deal of going all over a lot of the logistics of what's going on in the state of California. One thing I want to bring in perspective to Valley County Water District, that 100% of the water that we provide to our customers is groundwater. So we are heavily dependent upon local resources that from rainfall, and when we only receive 4 inches out of an average of what we normally receive 16 inches, that has an impact on local water supplies. So we can kind of move on to the next side of where we're at as the district, and as Tom was mentioning, some of the programs that we have out there. Currently, over the last 4 years, the district has been in a stage 1 water supply shortage emergency. with that comes certain regulations or limitations. The first being is that our homeowners, residents, which is 95% of our customers, can only water outdoors 3 times a week. Whether it's an even address or an odd address, they'll have a designated 3 days. So what we're working on right now, and we've started a campaign, Weathering the Drought, is to re-educate our customers of exactly what those limitations are. We put a full-page advertisement in the Baldwin Park Now, and we'll be sending out a postcard, just a reminder to all the customers that we provide water to that there are limitations, that we are in a drought. And everybody always asks me, are we in a drought? Is it real? And yes, we in the state of California will always be in some form of a drought. With the population that we have and the local water resources that we have, it's not sustainable. So we are always looking for different ways in which to utilize the resources that we have, but also be more mindful and use it more efficiently. And that's really what we're promoting, is for our customers to be more efficient, and certainly through their efficiency will reduce their overall costs for that service to be provided. So that is a win-win situation for the local region as well as the customer. As well as certain limitations, we certainly don't want to water between the hours of 9 and 5. Those hours are typically peak hours for direct solar radiation, which increases evaporation, and also with the increased wind, which will affect the efficiency of an irrigation system. As well as informing our customers if they have a leak. Currently, right now, we are in the process of installing smart meters. Those meters will notify us if there is continuous water leaks going on in the system, which we can alert those customers so we can fix those. With our stage 1, there is a requirement to address those leaks and fix those leaks within 5 days, and we will certainly work with our customers to proceed with that process as far as fixing those leaks. Next slide, please. Tom mentioned several of the programs, and there is a lot of regional programs through the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, as well as Upper District, as far as rebates and incentives from toilets to smart irrigation controllers to washing machines. So there is outside funding that will help customers purchase those devices and save water. We're working on different the projects that will certainly be beneficial. Recently, we worked a cooperative project with the Women's Club to do a little bit of change out of some of grass, which is just utilizes a lot more water if you were to convert that to some type of drought-tolerant plant. And so certainly that is a project that we are a proud partner of it, as well as Upper District in doing that conversion of the landscape. And right now, we're actually driving around the community to look at other individuals and residents that have made that conversion, and giving them a little sign and a little bit of a rebate on their water for those individuals who has taken those steps and those efforts to be more water efficient with certain landscape. And for the most part, grass is not a natural vegetation for us to continue to water. It's high water in consumption, so using more drought-appropriate vegetation certainly is a great way to reduce overall water consumption. And we have a lot more information on our website. We're very active on social media, so there's certainly a lot of information as far as how customers can learn how to conserve. We're also promoting a at-home, whether in person or virtually, to do a home water survey, to go through the process individually with customers to see how they can reduce their overall water. Next slide, please. The last thing, and before I forget, because I have a couple of my bosses in the audience, I do want to introduce our board president, President David Muse, and Director Javier Vargas in the crowd as well. So certainly without their guidance and support, I have a great board of directors, and we've really upped our game as far as promoting conservation, as well as the importance of trusting the tap. Recently, the district actually sent out over 13,000 it's our consumer confidence report to our customers to inform them of all the state and federal regulations that we have gone through the process of testing that water to make sure it meets all state and federal regulations. So that document has gone out to every single one of our customers. It also explains recent activities of what we've been up to as far as capital improvement projects, such as pipeline replacements, booster pump, and our message is to our customer that they can depend on safe, reliable water 24/7, 365 days. And certainly the message that we struggle with as well is that the water is safe to drink. It is safe to cook with. And understanding the struggles that we have with the current pandemic that we're dealing with and the vaccination process, I will certainly, we trust in the science that has provided the technology for us to treat the water, as well as trust in the science that has provided us an answer to the solution that we're going through right now with this global pandemic. So with that, that is our message to you. If there's any questions from members of the council, I'd be more than happy. Tom may have better answers, but we'll certainly be here to answer any if there's any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Jose, and President Muse and Director Vargas and Director Santana for taking the time to brief our constituents. Perhaps, Jose, if you can, as this relates to the COVID, can you share perhaps your position in regards to customers, more importantly, residents that might perhaps be behind on their water bills, and what's happening at the state level that might be able to assist them?
You want it, Tom?
No, you're the retailer. You're the
Yes.
retailer.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. That is a great question. Currently, there has been legislation that has been passed, and currently, right now, the State Water Resources Control Board is looking at individuals that have fallen behind on water bills and other utilities to see if there is some funding coming down that will alleviate some of those delinquencies that have occurred over the past year and a half. So there is a package, and they are still right now going through the actual implementation of that relief that should be able to assist customers that have fallen behind during the pandemic.
Perfect. I would just ask when that becomes official, if you can just share that information with staff so we could, not only put it on our social media platforms, but also in our now, just to, again, provide relief to individuals, because, right now, there's a lot of attention in regards to the rent relief moratorium. And the utilities is another issue that perhaps isn't getting as much attention as others, but I know Valley County and Upper and others are well aware of this and being very progressive in moving forward to ensure that all your customers feel safe and won't have their water or utilities cut off. So again, thank you and your staff and your colleagues for all your efforts that you guys have been doing over this last few years now.
Mayor?
Thank you.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thank you for the great presentation. It's you're right. There's a lot of people still asking, are we really in a drought? Yes, we are in a drought. It's very obvious we haven't had any rain. And it is important for our residents to know the information so that they can conserve water, the hours of watering, and so forth. I have a question. Do you have a timeline on when your meters will be put in place, the new meters to detect leaks?
Yes, currently we've installed 1,500, so that's about 10%, a little over 10% of our entire service area. And one thing I failed to mention is that we actually were awarded some grant funding, about $1.3 million in grant funding to pay for this project. And with that came a timeline for our full installation within 2 years. So we're about a year and a half away from full installation.
Oh, that's great. And so if we find a residence that they have leaks, and of course that will cost them money, and they cannot afford to make these repairs, would there be assistance from the water company for them to be able to make those repairs?
The process will certainly be expedited as far as being alerted if there's a leak. Currently, right now, we read meters every other month. With the installation of the new technology, that we will be alerted if there is 24-hour movement on the meter. So within a few days, we'll be able to alert that customer to avoid that. We certainly, anything past the meter does fall on the responsibility of the homeowner. But certainly, if there's any potential grant funding or partnerships that we can look into to assist for customers to address those issues. We'll certainly guide them in the correct direction. And any other partnership that we can have with other businesses in the city of Baldwin Park, that would certainly be beneficial to address those issues. But we'll certainly look into that.
Okay, and did I understand that correct? Once they're notified, they have 5 days. Is that 5 days to repair, or what are the 5 days
That is
for?
5 days. And again, those with the understanding that some of the repairs may be costly, but just to alert the individual and to repair them as soon as possible, because every day that goes by with continued water movement through the meter, that meter is being registered. We do, if a leak has been identified, we do work with customers, understanding that there could be a significant increase to their water bill if they haven't identified a leak over a course of a month or so. But so we do work with customers to alleviate some of those impacts when a leak has been identified, and we know that the cause of the spike of the increase was a cause of a leak. So we do work with our customers with that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. And I want to thank both of you for being here and giving us that presentation. It's water is vital, right? So how do we? Important that we recognize that, and saving water is important as well. So, I hope that we can find ways to partner together to increase, our PSAs and our education towards water, and help our community, allocate infrastructure to save water on the daily.
Mayor?
Absolutely. And I'm very pleased already of having conversations already with the city manager and the mayor about certain partnerships. So I look forward to continuing those conversations.
And I believe our city clerk.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. Years ago, I asked a question about desalination, and the answer was it was very expensive at that time, but technology existed. So just quickly, is there any news, any good news, hopefully, about desalination?
I did just read an article this morning about some technology being developed, but sometimes that takes a long time to see if you can scale that up. So I will tell you the largest ocean desal plant in California has been online for a few years. It's in Carlsbad, it's the Poseidon is the company that built it, and they have an agreement with the San Diego County Water Authority for 50,000 acre-feet a year. And so it is there. There's also one in Tampa, Florida, a large one. The biggest ones in the world are in the Middle East. So the technology is there, and you're right, the technology and the membrane technology has improved, and it has become less expensive. But I will tell you, the Poseidon plant in San Diego is costing about 3 times more than what it cost them to take imported water. So it's still a hefty price tag, but when we look at water supply reliability, we always look at what's the next cheapest source of water. We've done those. We're doing water recycling on a much larger scale. And eventually, depending on the communities, ocean desal might be the way we go, but it is expensive, and it's energy intensive, and energy is expensive.
That's a good question. I didn't think about that one. I don't know if any of our staff or council members have any other questions or concerns for our water districts. If not, I want to thank you once again for being here with us and educating on this, and I look forward to future partnerships with the both of you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I believe we have a Little Libraries Project presentation with Cameron Griffin, of course, our Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio, and Ted Jimenez from the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's great to be home, and if I may just interject on the conversation you previously had, just so you know, I am a member of the Budget Committee, and we allocated $2 billion for utility payments for assistance for homeowners that are back, that they owe utilities up. They're eligible to get money back up to April of 2020. So if they owe utility bills, they will be able to apply for that money, but we allocated $2 billion for the whole entire state. So that's, I think that's a big amount, and I think hopefully our community members can take advantage of it once it's implemented. And then Ms. Garcia, just to add to the conversation about desalinization, the conversation is happening. The biggest pushback is from the environmental community because not only is it expensive, but their conversation is about what are they going to do with the leftover brine. And so there's a big environmental community versus the desalinization. So that's something that we're also trying to maneuver up there. And so hopefully we can get through all of that and, make sure that we have adequate water supply. Anyway, that's not why I'm here, but I figured since I am here, I'd give you some insight as to what's happening up in Sacramento. But thank you, Mayor Estrada and council members, for the opportunity to be home. I rarely get the treat of being at a council meeting. We're on summer break. And so I took the opportunity to address you today on a very, very exciting project. As you know, I am a resident of Baldwin Park and a former teacher, so for me it just warms my heart to be able to partner up with the Southwest Carpenters on our Little Library project. The Little Library project is basically take a book, return a book, exchange. They're actual little libraries that the Carpenters are going to help build and will be placed around the city. We are hope is not a strategy, I always say, but we're hoping to do anywhere between 8 and 15. I'm pushing for 15, and I will be sponsoring all of the materials for the libraries, the little libraries. The Carpenters are going to do all of the work. We are going to try and figure out either an art competition so that the kids can decorate those little libraries, but it's take a book, return a book, so that all of our kids around the city have access to books. It's basically K-12 books, different genres, and we're going to depend on the community to take care of these little libraries. But I'm excited about the program. We've done it in other cities. I helped in the city of Almani, and so I figured, my own hometown is where they also need to be, and so we're partnering up with the Carpenters. I will help provide the materials. The Carpenters are going to build it. We're going to be placing them around the city. We've already had conversations with city staff as to possible locations for these little libraries. It seems a little bit kind of late because of COVID, but I'm excited either way to make sure that some of our kids have access to some of these books. As you know, we have the library, and the folks in the north, and are sometimes hard. It's difficult for them to get to the library, especially the kids, and so we're hoping that these little libraries can assist in a very small way to those kids. Again, as a teacher, I can tell you how important and how critical it is to have these available, and some kids just don't have access, and I think that's important as well. Hopefully, thank you, Mr. Damien, for your announcement about getting vaccinated, but hopefully if our folks do listen and get vaccinated, we won't have to go through a shutdown like we did the previous 18 months. And so this will also help in the event that some of the if we have to shut down again. And so again, I'm really excited to be able to contribute in a very small way. But let's see. At this point, you do have information with you, and you have the maps, but I would like to introduce Ted Jimenez from the Carpenters, who's been a partner with me now for the last 4 or 5 years. We've been, helping each other, and again, I'm excited to bring the little libraries to the city of Baldwin Park. Thank you.
If I may, Damien and the Damien family, my prayers of peace to the family. Difficult times for so many, and I'm sorry to hear that your family is experiencing this. Southwest Carpenters are out through our training centers are providing vaccination days periodically. We do not leave it just to the Carpenters. It's Carpenters are families, friends, and neighbors. Orange County, all the way up to Silmar and San Diego. So we're trying to do our part out in the community. So again, my prayers of peace to the family. Each of you has a booklet in front of you that was put together from the experience of building these little libraries a few years ago in Almani. It's promoting literacy with little free libraries. And I want to be able to answer a few questions that might be on your mind. So the way we're doing it now is with the CUP program. It's one of the shirts I'm wearing. It's the Carpenter Union Participation Program. You know, the carpenters have been volunteering in their communities for years, but we're trying to promote more and more involvement. So we call them participants now, not volunteers, because for every hour that they work participating in the community, whether it's building a ramp or a little library, they get compensated. It runs about they get about $48 an hour. They do 6 hours of volunteer work, they get $250 checks in July. You just got mine, by the way. If they do another 6 hours the following 6 months, another $250 check in January, and this continues on and on. And there's other incentives for those who want to do more hours. So the hours that are involved in the community nowadays are in the thousands. And this is not just in the Southern California. This is in 6 states, as Southwest Regional Council representative that I am. The Little Libraries Partnership is just that. It's a partnership. Partnership with our community, partnership with the council. We don't leave. If you're concerned about what happens to them if they get damaged, what happens graffiti, that sort of thing, hey, give us a call. We'll put a CUP program together, and we'll come out and do the repairs. My recommendation is for you to examine the book and see that there's a way you can charter each library. I believe it's a one-time cost. It's a nationwide charter, and each library will have a number. And if anybody passing by sees damage, they can just go on that website, on that charter plate that's on each library, send an email, and it shoots it to whoever receives them, set up to receive them. And they just notify us, and we'll take care of it. And they can notify them if the books are running low, or it's out of books, or it's damaged. So it's a great, great partnership, but also it's important that we let our parents actually, know about how it works, right? The kids come by, they take a book, like the assembly member said. They can take it, keep it, they can exchange, they can just stop by and add to it. So as being part of the charter, they provide in multiple languages the literature to educate your community on how it works. It's statistically known, because of the experience and how long these have been going on throughout the country. It takes about an average of 4 to 5 refills before they start refilling themselves. And so that's good news. And the other good news is there are partners out there, which I'm willing to help work on with the assembly member and you guys. There's, matter of fact, I believe right here in nearby town, Scholastic is nearby, and they offer programs where they donate books. The last time we were doing it with Rosemead, they have 6 libraries, and the 26 libraries we did for El Monte, South El Monte, when we started through social media promoting that, we weren't even done building them, and people with truckloads started donating books. So it's very, very self-supporting, as you'll find out. I also want to mention that a partnership with the Southwest Carpenters is not only about literacy, but it's about uplifting our communities. Uplifting our communities to thrive and to be able to provide for their families. Being in a pandemic and everyone coming out of pandemics, we lost a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of people lost opportunities. I provided you this evening, I believe, Lourdes has an envelope she'll give you later. I provided you with some information about the Carpenters Community Wealth and what the Carpenters are doing to help uplift and thrive in the community, help the city councils, I should say, with a plan to help uplift and thrive their community and provide opportunities for those who are looking for it in the infrastructure or trades world. That partnership is a great partnership. It'll be another day. I'd be happy to meet with anybody. My card's on there. We also believe that it starts in high schools. It's also provided you some information on the program that we're involved with for years. I don't want to leave you out. I think take a look at that when you get a chance. It's all about promoting the community to be uplifted and thrive. And I want to provide you my time whenever you need it to talk about those as well. But I guess if you have any questions, we're available.
Thank you. And I failed to mention, I see the superintendent from Baldwin Park Unified School District here. It's also important, obviously, to partner up with the school district to make sure that, that they're involved. So I want to thank the school district for their partnership as well. I happen to know some of them over there, so I figured it would be a great ask of them to make sure that our children are getting access to those books. So thank you again. My office is also available if you have any questions of another partnership, or again, the goal is anywhere between 8 and 15. I think that we can do more. So if you're interested in more, I think we can increase that. I think we have 20 schools around the city, and so I think if anything, we should have one for each school. It's my goal, but again, if you are interested in more, please let me know, and we'll figure out how to make it happen. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, thank you, Ms. Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio. It is very nice to see you. You're right. It's hard for you to get down here and actually come to our meeting. So it's very, very nice to see you and see that you're bringing this wonderful project here to our city. I love the little houses. I just have a question. Is that the style? I saw different styles. That's a cute little style. Do we get to pick, or you guys decide the style and size of the little house that comes to our city?
We're carpenters. You give us what you want, and we'll build it. This is the one we started with.
Uh-huh.
We have the plans for this, but you give us an idea, and we'll make it.
And I like the idea that you will have possibly students do the painting and the decoration for the little houses, so they can be little libraries. So they can be part of this whole project. And I would like to see more of them here in the city. It may be slow start, as you said, but I think with time, people will look forward to looking for the little library and see what new books are out there, because we do need to encourage our students to keep reading, get off the internet and actually pick up a book and read a book. I'm really excited about this project. How did you pick the areas to put them at?
That's you?
Yeah, well, it was in coordination.
General question?
Right, the general question. It was in coordination with your staff.
Okay.
We're trying to identify the best possible locations for them.
Perfect.
So it's your staff did it, basically.
All right, thank you. That was all
Yes.
my
Well,
questions.
and then just so you know, they've committed to fixing the roof after the warranty expires in 20 years.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys for being here. It's the whole, when I heard about this, I was very excited, and then I the concept of a little library has kind of expanded and evolved. And I think that in certain counties, I think like in Humboldt County, they have some sort of co-op where they use them as pantries. So people might have them and they put in, dried goods or, canned foods for anybody who might need them, and they can go. So it's a neat concept. I know El Monte has one. At the Valley Mall, I passed by it, and it's very nice. It has a very nice design.
I can brag a moment. My wife painted those.
Oh, now we know who, right? No, but yeah, so and it's a neat concept to incorporate the community, give out a some sort of competition contest, and get people pumped up about it. But and that's not even too hard. I posted about these before we had our city council meeting, and the community really seems to be excited about it, right? It's not just looking to place them on city property. Some people were asking, how can I get one in front of my house? So it's a great community collaboration where we put everybody together and increase access to books, right? The library is a great place, but it's not open all the time, or it's not accessible. And you wouldn't want to walk to the library from Fraser. You wouldn't want to walk to the library from Arrow Highway or something like that, especially in this heat. So it increases access to the books, and it
does
helps.
increase access, but also it takes by doing this, the kids take ownership of these libraries, and I can guarantee you that because they're taking ownership and it's in their communities, they will take care of them. I don't think we'll be making too many calls. That's just been my experience. Once we give the community ownership, they will take care of it and make sure that it's stocked at all times. And like Ted indicated, in the city of Almani, they had truckloads of books, and Scholastic is in Irwindale, so we will definitely be making those calls to make sure that those books are stocked. But yes, it is about accessibility, but about ownership and understanding, and the kids do know that if it belongs to them, they'll take care of them. And as Councilwoman Avila stated, the access for those different schools, it makes a big difference in the reading the kids do.
Yeah, and maybe we can even have some sort of sponsor a little library where a local business might want to get involved and they'll donate the books or something like that.
I think I saw the business association here. So absolutely, whatever we can do to make sure that again, the access is key. And Ted said it takes about 3 or 4 times before the books start coming back. So the initial investment, you just might as well know that the books are not coming back right away. But once they start coming back, then that's where the business association can come and help us. Terry?
Yeah. No pressure on Terry, right?
Hey, I'm good at putting pressure on people, and I get them to say yes. So
good. Yeah. So like I said, I'm excited. I know that a lot of members in the community are excited, and we have. It might be a little bit different once we start looking at private properties or homes and stuff like that. But I think, the city has enough properties to get this started and really take off with it. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. And again, if you have any questions, I have members of my staff here, but most of you, I think all of you have my phone number, so reach out anytime. If you have questions about this or any other questions relating to, the state budget or I would love to do eventually a legislative update for you. But in the meantime, until we can do that, if you have any questions, please feel free to call, email, or reach out to my staff. I'd be more than happy to keep you updated, especially on the budget situation, because we do have extra money and we are providing assistance. And sorry, Ted, I just want to take this opportunity to also tell you that we're leaving a lot of money on the table. A lot of the renters are not taking advantage of the rental assistance program, and a lot of the landlords are not. And just, sorry, point of privilege, I guess, at this point, but we had $5.5 billion to be able to support families that cannot come up with the rent and landlords, and we've only used $500 million. If we don't use that money, we will lose it to the federal government. So I also would like to ask for your help in advertising and social media and whatever you can do, because at this point, it's not about not having money. We have the money. People are not applying, and we are providing, the state is providing 100% to landlords. The previous legislation only provided 80% with the agreement that they would not evict the tenants, and then they would eat basically the 20% cost. We've increased it to 100%, so landlords can get 100% of their back rent up until back from April of 2020. But I'm concerned because we've only used $500 million, and we have $5.5 billion still on, or $5 billion still on the table. Again, if we don't use it, we're going to have to return it to the federal government. So I'm pleading with you to help in any way that you can. On my social media, we've been advertising, sending e-blasts, but if anything, you can do. And again, I don't understand what the hesitation is, but we don't have time to figure that out at this point. Just help us get folks rental assistance because we have the money.
Thank you for that information, Mayor. Sorry, if I may, that additional homework for Ben and to do the reach out, and maybe Superintendent Mendoza, welcome. Maybe we can do it through the school district website as well, inform the parents. Now that they're coming back, it's going to be a lot easier to keep in touch with them on how that rental assistance is out there, so we can have more and more people apply for this program and not let that money go, because I do know for a fact there is a lot of people still struggling. Robert has been working with a few families, as a matter of fact, so let's get more information out there, Ben. And let's reach out to the school district. Hopefully they can help us promote this so the parents know, the families know that service is still there. Thank you.
And to the landlords, again, it's important for the families, but it's important for the landlords, because the landlords can also apply without necessarily depending on the tenant to apply. So at this point, they just need to apply and they'll get 100% of the back rent.
That's perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that information.
If I may, Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember Damian.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Assemblymember Rubio and Ted, thank you guys both very much for being here. Regarding the rent, first of all, regarding the libraries, thank you so much. I think this is a really great project that we need in the community, and I'm all for putting them everywhere. If we can start with 2025, I'm all for it. In regards to the rental assistance, you said that it's 100% covered through the landlord, and both the tenants as well can apply. If the tenants apply, is there any type of legal status documentation that needs to be provided?
There's no legal status. I don't know all the details in terms of the application, but I know for a fact that there is no requirement for legal status, and I think that's part of the problem. Is a lot of the residents are afraid, to divulge that information. But there is no question on there. But again, even if they don't do it, we need to encourage the landlords to do it in that way. They're getting their rent, but there is no requirement for legal status. Okay. But again, we all know, we live in this community, we know that that's the number one reason why people don't apply is because they think that it will be asked, but there is no requirement. However, we do need to make sure that they know that they can apply. And again, we can't figure out why they have not applied, and we're running out of time at this point to try and figure that out. So I'm asking all of my cities to post that. We've posted it, but so again, a long-winded answer, but there is no requirement. Make sure that they apply. I was working with Father Mike on getting that information out. Again, because we're leaving all this money on the table, and that our folks are struggling right now. I don't know if you read today, since the moratorium ended, that the courts are filled right now with tenants and landlords because they're getting evicted. So this is not going to stop. But if we can at least make a dent on some of those folks that are eligible, everybody's eligible. They just need to apply to get that money. Hopefully we can save some of these folks from being homeless, because if we think that the homeless crisis is bad right now, after this is going to be terrible, but we have the money. And again, that is not an excuse anymore. Back a couple of years ago, we kept saying we don't have the money, but we have $5 billion. And if we don't use them, we have to return them to the federal government.
Do we know what the deadline is before we need to use that money?
I think we extended it for 3 months. So I'll get you the dates. But we extended it for 3 months. But I think, this is going to be the last extension, because, again, there is no reason to keep extending it if people are not taking advantage of it. If we're leaving the money on the table, we can extend it for 6 more months. If people are not taking advantage of it, it's not going to make a difference. So that's why I'm asking for your help to make sure that you inform residents and landlords. And again, it's really critical, because I think a lot of the landlords are under the impression that they can't, and they go right away for the eviction. But if we can also make them understand that they can apply as well, and then that way there's no lack of information at this point. But please, we need your help, because we can't leave that money on the table. We need to help folks right now.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Assemblymember.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Ben, if we can, we can direct staff so we can kind of make this urgent, and all of us kind of collaborate to try to get all the information out there. And even, a lot of our Hispanic-speaking or Spanish-speaking residents who may not understand, just let them know the landlords can apply as well. So, yeah, we'll do everything that we can on our end to try to push it and make it known that it's critical for them to apply.
And my staff can send you the information. We have graphics. We have all of that information already prepared. And so we can send it to you as well, so that you already have the information that we're providing.
Perfect.
And I was just going to say that I see Veronica Lopez here. So Ben can reach out to Veronica, and so we can have that information, the website, so we can post everything on both our city website and our district website, so we can have more families informed and hopefully apply for this assistance.
Just so you know, Veronica's here, but I also have my new staff member, Cameron Griffin, who's also part of my team, and so he's available as well. Obviously, Veronica, but Cameron is also available. My whole staff is available for whatever you need, and again, we have the graphics already done. It's just a matter of getting it out there, but we've been doing that, so we need to do more, and hopefully if we can get the school district's input and help in providing that information as well, I think, with all of us together, we can get more folks, we can get assistance for more people.
Yes, thank you. That's great. Thank you.
And you brought up a good point. I know that we were going to have discussion about it later. It's, we want to synchronize and stay in communication with state agencies that are a county or state, so that with funds that we're getting from the federal government, we don't keep trying to reinvent the wheel, right? So if you're offering rent assistance, and then potentially maybe the county is, then the city can use the money more wisely and figure another resource to offer aid. And so so that's important. I definitely, Ben and Carol can communicate with your staff, and we can get in sync on that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ted, for being here. Like I said, I'm excited, and I know many members of the community are excited for the little library.
Thank you.
If I may, real quick, one thing I wanted to mention is when Lourdes gives you the packet, each of you, there's a sticker on there talking about community wealth. There's a little QR code, 5-minute, 40-second video on taking homeless, people who are homeless, into lifting them out of that. And it's one of our commitments we have for people who are interested in opportunities. So please take a look at that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. We'll definitely take a look at that.
Thank you
for being here. And then really quick, I believe we have Eugene from Kaiser Permanente via Zoom.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Strada, members of the City Council. First, I would like to also, on behalf of Kaiser Permanente, express my sincere condolences to the Damien family and Councilman Damien for your significant loss. But I must say that I appreciate Councilman Damien's impassioned plea regarding the vaccine. And I'm here this evening to really, I want to acknowledge the partnership that we together, the city of Baldwin Park and Kaiser Permanente, underwent way back in early April. And if you recall, in 3 months, we vaccinated together 85,000 members of the larger San Gabriel Valley community, many of the residents of Baldwin Park as well. And I am extremely proud of that effort, and I do want to express my appreciation and gratitude to the City Council, to the City of Baldwin Park. I would be remiss if I did not call out Maria Moreno and Manny Carrillo, who were instrumental partners to Kaiser Permanente. As you know, we had to flex our operations to accommodate many more people than we were expecting initially, and Manny and Maria were with us every step of the way, ensuring that the Esther Snyder Community Center was a place that we can welcome the community with open arms and provide the vaccination. We have since, as you know, moved our operation back to the medical center there at the Kaiser Permanente Baldwin Park Medical Center. We are still providing vaccines on a regular basis there every day. I think we're operating 6 days a week now. And so I just want to reiterate Councilman Damien's plea once again to not only the residents of Baldwin Park, but anybody else who hears this, that the vaccine, as has been stated, we know that it's not foolproof. It doesn't mean that individuals who are vaccinated cannot contract the virus. And it certainly is not 100% protection against COVID-19. But what we do know and has been proven is that it is highly effective and it is a protective measure against the most serious forms of the illness. And so I can tell you that I think everybody knows that we are currently undergoing another surge. And at the medical center there at Baldwin Park, over 85% of our currently hospitalized patients who have been confirmed COVID positive are unvaccinated. And I believe the percentage is even higher for those patients who are currently in critical care. So I cannot stress enough the importance of the vaccine, the effectiveness of the vaccine against serious illness and against hospitalization, against ultimately, death. So again, I want to reiterate that Kaiser Permanente remains committed to ensuring that the pandemic is not over, as we know, and we will continue to fight. And I hope that we have an ongoing partnership with the city to battle this pandemic. And Kaiser Permanente is doing so. Again, we are providing vaccines, we are providing treatment. We want to emphasize all those other safety measures, masking, distancing, good hand hygiene. Those are all still very important measures as we continue to battle this pandemic. And so again, I will stop there. I again want to express my appreciation and gratitude for our partnership, and I look forward to an ongoing relationship as we work through this.
Thank you, and thank you for being here with us. I see, I think Reina is here with us as well from Kaiser, and I don't know if there's any other team members from Kaiser, but I definitely want to thank you, and then an honorary shout out to our city clerk Marlene, who is a part of the Kaiser team. But I definitely want to thank the Kaiser team for what they were able to accomplish for the city. I remember there was that article on the Wall Street Journal about how busy the Kaiser facility here in Baldwin Park was, and even then we were able to partner and do something great for the community. And sometimes we don't really talk about it, and I don't think a lot of people process it, but it's such an amazing effort that the city accomplished in partnership with you, and I'm grateful. I'm sure city staff and our council members are grateful as well. We were able to ensure that the San Gabriel Valley, Baldwin Park residents, communities that otherwise don't have adequate access to healthcare, working class families have that access to the vaccine, and they were able to remain safe, as they were out there working those essential jobs, and most of all being able to keep their families safe. And I kind of get lost for words, but I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful. It's a major achievement for our city, especially as the hub of the San Gabriel Valley. And I do want to let you. Can you hear me? I do want to let the Kaiser staff know that there will be a plaque on the way to recognize you for your efforts on behalf of the city, and city staff, to just show you a little bit of appreciation for the partnership that we had in helping our community.
Thank you, Mayor. We look forward to receiving that plaque, and I just want to add, what you stated reminded me that I'm pleased to report to everybody that I checked the county website today, and 72% of the city of Baldwin Park is vaccinated. And I think we can all hang our heads high to say that the partnership that we had really had a big hand in getting such a nice head start on this. But again, our work is not over. I think we are unified in wanting to see that percentage even higher. So look forward to continuing to work together. Thank you.
And Councilmember Damian.
Thank you, Mayor. Eugene, Kaiser staff, Reina, I don't know you were on. Just wanted to say thank you. Thank you both very much, and thank you to all your staff. Reina, you were great during the difficult times that we were going through those couple of weeks. So I just wanted to take the time to personally thank you very much and say that I sincerely, actually my family and I sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you did. So thank you. And also thank you for the partnership that you have. You basically worked with us in the city to try to get all of our residents vaccinated. Mark my words, I will be alongside with you, trying to push for everyone who's on the fence of getting vaccinated to help you to convince them that the vaccine works and get them vaccinated. So thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. I want to take the opportunity to thank our partners at Kaiser, Eugene, Reina. I can't say enough about Reina. I mean, we've had this continued relationship with her, and we really appreciate her. But Eugene, it was nice to work with you on this very important project for our community and also for the region. And in partnership with our Department of Community Services, working with Manny Carrillo, Maria, and all the staff that really stepped up to provide this service to our community. And like I said, the region.
Baldwin Park was one of the hardest hit communities during COVID, during the surge. Why? Because a lot of our residents don't have the luxury of staying home. And as much as we were promoting, staying home and taking all the precautions, the reality is that a lot of our residents are those frontline workers that we were counting on. And so I want to thank Kaiser for providing a service, making these vaccines accessible, not only available, but accessible with the hours, the operation, the collaboration. It's greatly appreciated. And I also look forward to the next round of booster shots, the booster vaccination, right? And I welcome the partnership. Eugene laughs because we're always, one step ahead, right? But definitely want to thank you for all the work in working with our staff. It's so greatly appreciated on behalf of our seniors and the most vulnerable in our community. And I look forward to continued partnership. Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll make it short. I just want to echo sentiments of my colleagues. The partnership that we had with Kaiser was amazing. If any of you got to see the facility at Morgan Park, it was a mini hospital. It was amazing the work that our staff did, the work that Kaiser Permanente staff did to make that run so efficiently. I saw it from the beginning when they started setting up, and I saw when they were actually vaccinating people. They were so organized, so nice and friendly to our staff, and I appreciate the fact that they were here in the San Gabriel Valley, here in Baldwin Park, when it was needed the most. I also know they are doing an amazing job. I know they have their tents set up outside of their hospital. When people call and they feel like they're having a hard time breathing, they do the oxygen readings. They're just amazing. And I know because I unfortunately had to take my daughter there a few times when she was sick, and they treated her amazingly, gave her a peace of mind, gave me a peace of mind. So the work that you're doing is amazing, and I appreciate the partnerships, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. Reina, I've talked to you a few times. I finally got to meet you face to face, and it was wonderful. So thank you again, and look forward to more partnerships.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. I echo all the comments my colleagues have said, about Kaiser. As a member, I'm very proud of, leading by example, and of course the partnership. I just want to take this opportunity to ask staff if we could perhaps work with Eugene and Reina to make perhaps short 30-second videos that we can provide in different languages to promote vaccination on our social media site. It's one thing for electeds to say something, but it's a whole nother world and much more authoritative when we have doctors that can speak, from our city to our residents. So if we can just take the opportunity to, maybe go to their office or something and just create short little snippets, for our social media platform, just to, again, encourage and, move folks to get the vaccine as quickly as possible. I think that would be a simple, low-hanging fruit thing for us to continue on this message. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Reina. I just, again, as Eugene stated, I've worked with you for so many years. I've had the pleasure of working closely with Manny, Maria, the team. And I also can't say enough about the great partnership and the relationship that we've had with the city of Baldwin Park. You've always been tremendous partners. You've worked with us so closely. And I really consider us lucky to be in the city of Baldwin Park and to be able to work together. Thank you so much for allowing us the use of Morgan Park. We know that was a tremendous undertaking. It was a lot of work on the part of the city. But you were there by our side, making sure that our members, our community was all vaccinated. And like Eugene said, we reached over 85,000 people. And that's, we should all be very proud of that. Councilman Damian, I haven't had the pleasure yet to meet you in person. I'm sorry that, when we met, it was to address, what was going on with your brother, Antonio. My heart goes out to you, to your family. for your loss. I can't imagine what you're going through, and I thank you for being so courageous to talk about the importance of being vaccinated. I think, unfortunately, it's taking situations like that to make people realize how deadly this virus is, no matter how young you are, or you may think that you're in great shape. I've seen the efforts. I'm not a physician, I'm not a clinician, but working in a hospital, it really opens your eyes to just how deadly this virus can be. So on behalf of Kaiser Permanente, I want to thank all of you for always just being tremendous partners. And I hope that, we can get that percentage in Baldwin Park to 100%. Our doors remain open, and hopefully together we can continue to partner. And Councilman Hernandez, absolutely, let's talk offline to talk about how we can get those videos and one of our physicians to present, and we can promote it on our social media site. So with that, thank you again.
Great. And thank you, Reina, and thank you, Eugene, for being with us today. We're all grateful. And then, of course, we can't forget to give praise to Maria and Manny and their whole team at the Parks and Recs. We always, whenever things like this come up, we always let everybody know how Parks and Recs really does more than just parks and recreation, right? They take on a lot of services, and they do a lot of our homeless efforts. They do our food drives. They team up with Kaiser to make sure that we're offering healthcare services. So again, thank you to our staff, and of course, thank you to the Kaiser team for partnering with us. And I look forward to a continued partnership and any time that it's needed. And at this moment, I will open public communications. If you are looking to speak, you may do so now.
Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt, but can we report out the closed session item?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, City Attorney. Report out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council voted on a motion of 5-0 to develop a policy regarding banking procedure to accept cannabis payments and cash collections, so that we will now be doing that through a bank rather than through our city staff and personnel. That motion was 5-0.
Thank you for that, City Attorney. And then I'll hand it over to our City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Arturo Luna.
Hello, City Council, residents of Baldwin Park. Public waste, what we waste, throw in the trash, on and on and on. The biggest problem is you people and them people from the public transportation and public waste and all that other stuff. Every year, you people want to raise what we pay. It's so simple. We'll call it a different name. She started it. Everybody else joins in with the party. Here's the problem. Solid waste. What do you think you're picking up now? You throw a piece of carrot in the trash, that's solid until somebody consumes it or until it just decomposes. You got a corn of corn, a ear of corn, throw it in the trash, same thing. What are they going to, you know what Waste Management wants? They want us to clean it so they can make a profit and not spend any money. Well, when you go down the street, if you throw something out there, I'll give you a good example. Put a tire out there. If you don't call them and ask them to pick it up, they won't pick it up. But they want you to put it out there so they can pick it up and make a killing. And you people up here should have the so-claimed authority to change things. They want to raise it, and we keep telling everybody, don't keep raising our prices. You don't care. You raise it anyway. Waste Management, you want to make a clean killing. You want us to waste the water, which we shouldn't be wasting, quote, We're wasting too much water. They want us to clean it, so all they got to do is pick it up, go sell it, and make money. But they're going to raise our solid waste, so claimed. So we have to pay for their cleaning of all the stuff we throw away. That's why a lot of people throw their trash in any of them. The green one, the gray one, the black one, the orange one, or the purple one, whatever color it is. People don't care. You want me to clean it? You want me to clean it, but you want to make the profit. The name of the game here is you got to spend money to make money, not steal our money and make money. So don't steal our money. Solid waste is what they pick up now. If something is solid, like iron, a piece of wood, cement, that's solid waste.
Sorry, your time is up, sir.
Oh my God, I ran out of minutes. Oh well, maybe next time.
Saera Lampuala.
Honorable Mayor Estrada and City Council members, Councilmember Damien, if I may, and Damien family, express my deepest condolences for your loss, and just express appreciation for you being here tonight. I think community is often important for getting through such troubling times, so thank you. And with that, my statement. Thank you for the opportunity to address the City Council tonight regarding your consideration of service contracts for social media and communication services. My name is Sarah Lampuala, and I am a business analyst with Trepepi Smith. I'm proud to work with 31 other professionals to help more than 60 cities and other government agencies with their communication needs each and every month. In fact, last winter, we and I personally had the opportunity to work with members of your staff and City Council to produce a video announcing your Community Choice Aggregation Program, Be Proud. As you can imagine, this breadth of work gives us great insights and experience with an array of situations that make us seasoned and professional communicators for our public agency clients. The city issued a broad RFP for services early in the year, and Trepepi Smith enthusiastically bid on this project because the requested services are in great alignment with our skills and our demonstrated core competencies. And furthermore, I believe in my team's ability to effectively work with staff to help the city and the City Council achieve its communication goals. And with that, I thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself and will conclude my statements out of respect for your busy schedule, but I do remain available to answer any questions you may have about our proposal or the world of city communications in general. Thank you.
Thank you. Rudy Avelar.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Directors, Chief, City Clerk. I'm here for a proposal that the city has given us. It was given to us last week, which we all agree at the American Legion. The only thing is that we're asking for an amendment to add a time frame on the right to refusal. The reason being is that we don't want to give, first of all, our bylaws state that we should not contract or a debt to the next generation of American Legions. So we want to keep it within our generation and we want to keep it to 10 to 20 years. If that's acceptable, the American Legion will sign and accept your grant. And thank you very much for that grant. That would help us out very much. Council Damien, I want to offer you the American Legion. If you want to do a campaign for a vaccine, it's yours at any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Catherine Lozier.
Hi, good evening, Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, community partners, and fellow community members. Councilmember Damien and family, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for your strength and coming here and letting us share in your grief today. And thank you to everybody involved with the Little Libraries Project. Libraries love little libraries, so I'm very excited to see that come to our city. Tonight, I wanted to share a couple of resources, one that's come back to the library and one that's new. The library has, LA County Library has partnered with ABC Mouse. So now we are able to offer that free to every library card holder. ABC Mouse is an educational resource in the form of games and other activities to engage children. It aims to help with math, reading, science, and skills for children 2 through 8. And with your library card, caregivers and parents can have up to 3 accounts to help track their children's success. And then the LA County Library is also bringing back our Discover and Go program. With an LA County Library card, card members can get free tickets to museums. And they can have up to 2 reservations at a time and have reservations as far in advance as 3 months. So a lot you can do with a LA County Library card. So please feel free to come and stop in and see us or give us a call at 626-962-6947. Well, have a good evening.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear there's not going to be a feud between the public library and the little libraries.
Oh, no. I know where to drop off my books now, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Victor Pelayo.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, council members. My condolences to you and your family. Amen. I'm opposed to the proposed solid waste rate increases. I'm here to submit 112 signatures from the constituents / account holders who are also opposed to the rate increases. In addition to submitting this original list, I also emailed each of you a copy. I feel a rate hike at this time when so many people are struggling and barely making ends meet is not in the best interest of your constituents, especially having just raised the rates in January without any type of notification from the city or waste management. After the matter was publicly tabled by then Mayor Daniel Lozano. I sincerely hope that you take this under serious consideration because many people are facing unforeseen struggles and financial insecurities. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're going to say city clerk or?
Right here. Next speaker, Javier Vargas.
Mayor, Council, Councilman Damien, just want to offer my sincere condolences. I know we spoke a week ago, but I also want to offer your family my sincere condolences. I grew up with Tony. I went to high school with him. We played baseball at National. We were on All-Stars. Señora, mi más sentido pésame a su hijo. And I send condolences to you also, Councilman Damien. Thank you.
Those are all the speaker cards, Mayor.
Great. And I know we were, if somebody didn't fill out a card, if you'd like to speak, now's your chance.
Greg Tuttle, business owner, Baldwin Park. Due to the lack of controls with our finance department in the previous years, there's certain people in the politics and then council that are not here now that owe the city money, and their family owes the city money. And I gave the city manager all the proof on Mayor Lozano's family owing the city $25,000. What proof we have is the father died in 2016. What we have is proof that the city has an agreement with the father whenever the property changed hands, which it did when the father died, that the property goes into probate and they get the $25,000. Now, none of this was done because Mayor Lozano was the mayor. The city needs to start to check all the records of what the citizens owe this city and start collecting the fees that's owed to the city. And one of these fees is this here, and it's clear and proof with all the papers I gave. And the thing is they're going to lose the property because they owe over $6,000 in property taxes. They can't keep up with the property taxes. So then what will happen is the state will get the money and we won't get anything. So we need to act on this as soon as we can. Now then, the other thing I want to commend is on the Rome project last week, we saw Monica bring in her groupies, which half of those people, I would doubt any of them lived in the Rome project. The Rome project was a disaster. Mayor, what you did with all your research and how you came up with all your stuff was great. You came up, you had the figures, you had the numbers, you had the contracts that they violated, and you did a good job. But Monica came in here and delayed the whole meeting with bringing in all these people, and Rome to beg for more to get in here again. Rome never gave us a dime to begin with. We already voted that Rome wasn't going to come in here. But what happens? We waste a whole council meeting on this. So I hope in the future that this can be cut simple and dry. When you make a vote, it's done. It's finished. It's over. So I want to thank you for what you did on there. It was very good to hold up the meeting with this. And I want to see if the city manager can come in with this and start to get our money back for what's owed on the city with this $25,000 from Mayor Lozano's family. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else looking to speak?
Mayor, Danny, I talked to you, you know. One of the things I gotta praise, Mayor, what you've been doing lately, you know. The only thing you're lacking is the community outreach to them. The community needs to see you out there. Have a meeting in the park. Do something. They ask me, and I tell them, he's doing a good job. Give him time. Okay? Which you are, you know. You know, percentage went down since the beginning, but you need to outreach. You need to talk to the people. Go to the park, go to Walnut Creek, go to Barnes, go to right here at Morgan Park, so they can see you and they see what you're doing. Basically, what you're doing right now, you're doing very good. Okay? Enrique, welcome to the family. You know, but that's something that, you know, they come to me because I'm loudmouth, probably. But they come to me and they tell me things like that, okay? Other than that, on the Baldwin Park Proud, I have some neighbors that their bill of electricity went twice as much. This lady next to me, she's 83. She got a bill for $100 and some. She tried to get rich at Baldwin Park Proud, and she couldn't. She waited almost 2 days calling. It always comes to an answering machine. He told him after so many times, I went out from the Baldwin Park Proud. She asked me, I thought they were going to send out flyers with Hispanic and Thai. They never did come out. You know, and that's something that the community is looking for, you know. That outreach that you need to do, you know. So That's about it for right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I feel so sorry for your family, honey. And okay, this is my question now, my complaint. Too many vendors in the city of Baldwin Park. I think you need to require them the license to sell goods, all that, all right? Because they're not healthy for people. And another thing, too much trash and the sidewalks, they don't put a poison to kill the weed and all that. I have to do sometimes myself to cut the weed or cut the bushes around the, but I see something wrong. I don't have to do that, but I do it. I think the front, across the street, is like I don't know if it's an old house or museum. I don't know where's that, but it's homeless inside there. You need them or whatever you have to do it because it's completely destroyed inside. The homeless go inside there and sleep, right? And graffiti, still too much graffiti around. And what Taro said, I think I agree with Taro to collect the money from the Taro's father, okay? I think that can be solved as soon as possible. Okay, thank you, and that's it.
Hello. I know pretty much all of you already. Sorry for your loss, Danny. The only issue I got is when I resigned from the Planning Commission in 2019, and I keep getting these statements for the Form 700 to fill out and send back in. I told them I haven't been on the Planning Commission since 2019, and now they're saying they're going to fine me. So if you guys could look into this and take care of this, I'd really appreciate it. Because they just keep sending these regardless. And I've came down here a couple of times, but they were closed. So they were either on lunch or they were closed. Anyways, also on Main Street today, they tagged probably about 10 houses. There's like the Cholo writing on people's walls, and even on their garages they put them. So something needs to be done about that. If you guys could look into that and stop that, because they're starting to tag more and more now. I mean, I got a pressure washer, so I could take off mine's easy, but if you guys could take care of that, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? If not, at this moment, I will close public communication.
Mr. Mayor, before we get into the agenda, do you mind, I don't think I properly captured our closed session. Would you mind if I just redo that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Very sorry about that. So the City Council, Councilman Hernandez motioned and Councilmember Garcia seconded. The City Council passed the motion 5-0 to develop the city policy to create a city banking procedure to accept cannabis payments and discontinue accepting cash collections at the city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, Robert. Okay, so public communication is closed. At this point, we're going to move into the agenda, but before that, Mr. Pelayo, I hear you. I know that it's raising rates is never an easy discussion, and we will have that once we get to that public hearing. And I want to make sure that you get your questions answered and you get the information that you deserve, not only because you're a resident and a customer of Waste Management, but because you've done your due diligence this whole time, and I know that you've been very active regarding this issue. And then, of course, graffiti, or Public Works does a very good job as long as you report it. And it's, they most of the time I think they get it same day. But Sam, if you could check on that tomorrow morning, we can get that fixed. And then if there's, so we're going to move on to consent calendar.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I believe we have an urgency item that may be considered that would have to be added before we go to consent.
Great. So I will make a special motion that's regarding an agenda item of urgent necessity, and that is for crossing guard services for the start of school. So under the provisions stipulated in the government code section, as it pertains to actions of urgent necessity by the City Council, there is an item that not on today's published council agenda of urgent nature that council needs to take action. This issue arose after the agenda was published. The city and the Baldwin Park School District have formed a partnership in ensuring that crossing guards are provided for the safety of the kids and their families walking to school at key intersections throughout the city from day one of the start of the school year, which is next week, Thursday, August 12, 2021. In order that this contract can go into effect in time for the start of the school year, the council must consider taking action today. I therefore make a motion to agendize subsequent need item 6-1 to consent calendar and bring it forth for normal council consideration in today's consent agenda as item number 6-1. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any objections? No, if not, then that item will pass.
And is now, for the record, added to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. So at this point, if there's any other, if there's any items council members are looking to pull from the agenda, you may do so now.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 2 and item 6-1.
And then any other items? If not, I will make a motion to pull item number 5. Not a motion, sorry. I'll pull item number 5. Great. And so if not, I will make a motion to pass items number 1 through 6, and that excludes item 2, 5, and 6-1. Can I get a second?
Second.
Great. Any objections? No, that motion passes. And at this moment, we move on to item number 2. Councilmember Garcia, you have the floor.
Thank you. So I was looking through these minutes, and I saw that there were some changes that needed to be made. I wanted to pull this item and see if our city clerk can go and review some of the comments that were made on July 7th during the Tiny Homes Village. There are some individuals here that are listed in support of the project, and actually they were in opposition. So if we can go through that, because I think it's only fair if they came out and made the effort that that the record reflects accurately their position on the item, especially since it was such an emotional issue on both sides. So can we just go ahead and have this item pulled so that it can be reviewed further?
Yeah.
So that would be my motion.
Great. I'll second. Is there any objections? If not, Councilmember Garcia's motion passes. And then we move on to item number 5, and that's the approval of a grant agreement in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for rehabilitation of the American Legion, Abraham Lincoln, Post 241 in Baldwin Park, located at 4725 Main. So, of course, we've been in talks with the American Legion, and we want to help them out to make sure that the Legion, which is a big part of our local history, remains active and is able to continue to provide a space for our veterans. And in order to do that, we want to help them with a grant so that they can rehabilitate their facility and keep it in longevity. So we hear your concerns, and I think that that's fine. You know, the idea behind this was never to engage in any sort of any contractual obligations. So I have no problem amending this so that our director Ben Martinez has the ability to work a time frame. So if it's possible, I would like to make a motion to pass item number 5, but just amend it so that there's the ability for our director of community development to change the time frame.
Yes, Mr.
Second.
Mayor. You could amend it on the dais right now, so if you want to put in a year there right now, we can amend that, and you'll pass the contract as amended, or you can do it bring it back when we do that with.
Well, I think we have to pass it now because it is becoming time sensitive.
Okay, and so did you have that?
So I believe our American Legion said between 10 and 20. So we can just pick a middle number if that's okay, and we can go with 15. Great. So at this moment, I will make a motion to amend the contract to a time limit of 15 years. Can I get a second?
Second. I think Councilmember Hernandez seconded your initial motion.
Oh, well then we.
You just didn't hear him.
The initial one was for 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, so we have to go back then and then.
So what do you want to do?
Motion.
I don't know. Talk to the attorney. Does it just drop?
If Councilmember Hernandez, he can second my the amended one, just so that we don't have to.
I'm perfectly fine. Let's move forward. It's a good thing.
Okay. So any objections?
As a point of clarification, Mayor, this is section 14 of the contract on page 5 of 9, and the amendment should read in section 14, this section shall be limited to a time period of 15 years, and that is the amendment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. So I believe that amendment passed, and then at this moment, I will make a motion to pass that item number 5 with the amendments included. Can I get a second?
Second.
Great. Any objections? If not, motion passes. Thank you for being here, the American Legion, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thank you. And I believe at this moment we will move on to item number 6-1. So if it's, I'm not sure, Chief, would you like to give us the brief on this?
Well, I'd like to speak to it first, Mayor.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Garcia.
Yeah, I just want to say that the reason why I pulled this item is, I wanted to point out that the city actually provides the services for crossing guards, and we do it because it's been a public safety priority. Since I've been on the council, and even prior to that, this has always been an item that we've wanted to support because of our students and how they rely on the services. But I will say that it has been a little bit of a budget issue for us because, well, it's been in the tune of like $200,000 to $250,000 a year. So I just want to share that because it has been a priority for us here to keep our kids safe. And I did want to celebrate, there's been some ongoing conversations with the school district for a couple of years actually on having a shared cost. But I want to applaud that, the school district with Froylin Mendoza being the superintendent, agreeing to support covering half of the costs for this. And I definitely wanted to say thank you for that because, we've often welcomed the opportunity to partner, to have a joint use partnership. And I think this is a perfect example of that. And I really wanted to celebrate it. And I also wanted to acknowledge, under the leadership of our chief of police and also our newly appointed CEO, Enrique Zalivar, that, we were able to accomplish this. And so I want to say thank you for your efforts in making this happen as well.
Mayor, may I before you make a motion, Ms. Monica?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make a motion yet. I'm just going to allow Chief to give us a brief overview so everybody knows what the item is. But yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say really quick, I agree with you. Safety for our students is a major priority, and the city has always provided it. The cost of the safety for our students, but I think we would all agree, as well as the school district, that safety for our children has no dollar amount because we need to protect them. We need to make sure they are taken care of. And of course, the fact that the district is willing to help with the cost, it's definitely going to help the city because now we can allocate some of that money for other services that our residents may need. So I'm very excited as well as you, Monica, that for partnering to share the cost at this time for the safety of our students. Thank you. Go. Now you can go ahead and have Chief present.
So Chief, please, if you could explain what this item is and what it will do.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, thank you for the time, and Vice Mayor, thank you, and Councilmember Garcia, thank you. Mr. Damon, before I begin, I just want to stand on behalf of the police department, our condolences to you and your family, and I know that our thoughts and prayers are with you all. So as far as the agreement, we met with Dr. Mendoza, and we're continuing talks in the process of looking at all the services that their police department used to deal with. And one of the things was crossing guards that came up in our discussion, and we were able to work a compromise so that they shared the cost with the crossing guard. So I really want to thank Dr. Mendoza for his leadership and thoughtfulness in helping us out, especially since we have incurred these costs for probably 14 years or so. So again, thank you for everyone for their help, for the school district, and that's how we will be. We've already reached out to the company. They are prepared to hire the crossing guards and begin on August 12th.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Chief, again for your efforts and for our CEO's efforts. And so with that, I'll make the motion to approve the item.
Second.
Any objections? If not, item passes. And then I believe we are on to the public hearing, and that is conduct a public hearing and consider adoption of resolution number 2021-033 entitled A Resolution of the City of Council of Baldwin Park, California, adopting the amended fee schedule for fiscal year 2021-2022 solid waste collection and recycling services. So I think it's a much broader discussion than we think it is. I know that we've gotten updates and we've postponed the raises a little bit, and we have removed one of the potential increases. So we've actually dropped down the price of what the increase would have been. Sam, I don't know if you're knowledgeable with the contract, but if you are, I think we'll direct our questions at you. So some of the things that I've heard, and I know Mr. Pelayo has kind of brought this up a lot. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind, and I know Mr. Luna brought it up as well. So this contract was actually passed in 2013, so almost 10 years ago, which is a 10-year contract. So a lot of these things are not actions that this council is taking. A lot of these are actions that the council is obligated to take because we are contractually obligated to the contract that came in here 8 years ago. So Sam, when we talk about the CPI increase, and I think it's important for residents to understand, I think that's a contractual obligation. So we cannot actually, we can postpone that increase, but you cannot not pass it without having some sort of repercussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that is exactly correct.
So, and then I believe so. If we were to keep postponing it, it would just keep adding up, and you still have to back pay.
Yeah, it would be retroactive to July 1st.
Right. So that's why you saw that increase in January, but that was it should have been passed mid-year, but it was, I believe, wasn't tabled. It was postponed, and then they had a vote on it, and that's why you got the increase. Not only the increase, but the retro pay on top of that, and that's why it seemed like a bigger one.
Right. So it essentially was retroactive to July 1st, but it was implemented in January 1st. So it was sort of a double payment, all things considered.
Yeah. So that's one important point for all of you to understand. It's a 10-year contract. This council has no say in that. It's a decade long, right? So, there our hands are tied. But Mr. Pelayo, I know that you've done your due diligence, and I want to make sure that I help you, or at least try to make you understand why certain things happen up here on the dais. And then, of course, the second raise is not our decision. That's a state mandate, and I think that's a little bit more complicated. And I know that it's a higher increase. But it is a state mandate, and if we don't meet that mandate, we may face other repercussions at a higher level. Is that correct, Sam?
Yes, that is correct. The second rate, with respect to green waste, the city has not been in compliance, or at least not performing the diversion of green waste, which was mandated by the state January 1st, 2020. So this will allow us to start meeting diversion compliance for green waste, as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. And then before I pass it on to my colleagues, I know that, I agree with all of our residents, right? It's a difficult time to be increasing rates, especially as we've just come out of the first surge. It looks like we might be going on to another one. And I always take into consideration the demographics of our community and always make sure that I empathize and understand the situation. I live here too, and those increases are going to affect me one way or another. So I see the same thing you're seeing, right? So with ARP money, ARP is a once in a lifetime generation to make sure that we help our constituents during a once in a lifetime pandemic. One of the clauses in there is that you can use this to help our constituents with utilities and housing, but most importantly at this point, it is a utility. So I think that one of the things that we should do is direct staff to bring us back a report on the possibility of allocating $1.2 to $1.5 million to offer our residents rebates so that they don't feel that increase during these times. Yeah. So, Council, go ahead.
I have a question, Mayor. So if I can have, just for the sake of clarification, have Sam explain what CPI is, one, and also I know it's a state mandated increase that for the green waste. I feel that, and I feel what the residents are saying, the increase, it's not just, it's not fair. Why are we always getting the increase? So I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'd like to see a report, if possible, what percentage of that increase do the residents pay, and what percentage does waste management pay? In other words, the state is mandating this, so are we carrying all the cost, or is waste management paying part of that cost, so it's not so much for the residents? So those two questions, and I don't know if Terry would have the answer for that, but if you can answer the CPI, Sam, please.
Yes, definitely. So the CPI, it's the Consumer Price Index. It is a measure of the average change over time in prices paid by consumers for any particular market. In this case, we're talking about the garbage and trash collection market. The data is published by the United States Department of Labor in their Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this year, based on our analysis, that constitutes a 3.49% change. And that's what's driving CPI. It's contractual. It amounts to 87 cents per home per month.
And there's no getting out of that one. Okay. For my second question, I don't know who would have an answer for that.
So
or if you
I
need
like
to do research.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to invite Terry to talk on the waste management side. But in the contract agreement, waste management must provide to the city on a monthly basis their tonnage collection. In that data, we break out the green waste and food waste tonnage. These increases are based on diverting that solid waste. So in the case of green waste, it used to be taken to, to the dump to be used as cover. The state no longer allows that. So now we got to divert it to composting. So what you're seeing here is the increase to be able to do that. So it's transportation cost and mostly, correct me if I'm wrong, Terry, but tipping cost for the composting of that. And per the contract, waste management is allowed to request that they pass through that charge.
So the question is, are we paying 100% of that fee for them to have to take green waste somewhere else now, or food waste somewhere else, versus the way we were doing it before? Are we paying 100% of that cost, or is waste management sharing some of that cost so the increase won't be so high?
Yeah, when we're talking strictly about tonnage, it is a straight through pass through. So it would be 100% pass through to the residents or the service accounts holders.
I may add, Mr. Mayor, that pass-through is contractual. It's, isn't it, the straight pass-through?
Right.
That's not the council's deciding that. That contract says you have to pass it through.
Right. So if we're talking in terms of a 10-year contract, when the contract was originally negotiated, these state mandates were not in place. So there is a clause in the contract that provisions changes in state mandated programs such as the organics recycling. So it was not foreseen and it was not built into the contract. So the contract allows Waste Management to request pass-through based on new state mandates that were not originally anticipated in the contract that was negotiated.
I'm sorry, so just for clarification, the contract that we're currently under, the 10-year contract, that has a clause that states that any future increase due to, example, green waste, that 100% of the cost would go to the city?
So,
to the residents?
that Waste Management would need to provide data that backs up what that increase is and what they're passing through to the residents. So it's not an automatic approval. Council has the option not to approve because they're not automatic. But yes, essentially, this is what is referred to in the agreement as a extraordinary and unusual cost. And based on that clause, Waste Management can request an increase due to some change in business and the cost of doing business, and pass that through to the ratepayers.
So we need to be more careful when we do these contracts to make sure that we are clear when something like this happens, because it may.
And to that point, we are excluding the food waste increase request, which drops their original request by 42%, precisely because the contract is coming up. We are on the semifinal year of the contract, so we are going to come back to the council to ask direction. And at that time, the council will have the opportunity to weigh in specifically on the food waste.
And I think it's important to remember, Councilmember Damian, that in the contract, if the council were not to approve that pass-through, so yes, there is a slight, tiny bit of discretion, but if the council were not to approve that pass-through, Waste Management then under the contract could reduce services to our residents. And, that's contractual too. That's, that you would have no discretion over that. The services would go down if you didn't pass it through.
Can I interject real quickly about some of the questions that were being asked? The way that the price increases are figured in Baldwin Park is what they call straight CPI, Consumer Price Index. And those are derived from a nationwide average of what the cost is for garbage and trash collection. So we all know that in California, things are way higher than other parts of the country. So that's how the price increase, the CPI is figured. Some cities have, we call it like a blended rate. They'll have the CPI, plus they'll have the pass-through for disposal, which that then can account for changes in, say, for example, the law, or different things that happen in terms of the market, in terms of transportation, in terms of, like they said, the tipping fee, how much it costs to process it. This contract does not have that. So in terms of Waste Management, what they're doing in terms of their help in paying this, since it's only the CPI, it's not taking into account things like these new state laws, which requires a whole different way of handling the green waste than what it was before. And for example, as Mr. Gutierrez talked about, before it was allowed that you can take the green waste, you can take it to the landfill, you can spread it on top of the trash to keep the smell, the dust down, which of course is a much cheaper way of handling it, and it would still count as it was diverted, than composting it. Composting is a more complicated procedure than just spreading. The state in 2020 said you could not spread it on landfills to count.
you have to compost it or you have to use it as mulch. So when that happened, a third of the state of California's cities all had their green waste used as landfills. So once that law came into effect, of course, there became a supply and demand, and the composting facilities and the mulching facilities, of course, increased their rates significantly because now everyone's scrambling and trying to find a place to be able to take their green waste to get the diversion. I mean, for example, what happened was over from 2019 to 2020, it used to cost $46.96 per ton to process green waste. It then became $81.37. So it increased significantly. Now, also what happens is these cost estimates that we put in for this extraordinary increase for the green waste were all calculated back in February, January, February-ish. Prices have changed significantly since then. What we're asking for is approval for the rate as it was back then. Anything that changes between now and next year, if an increase, Waste Management eats the cost because we cannot raise the rates again if, for example, the tipping fee increases, transportation increases, if wages increase, we can't raise the rates any more than what we've been approved. So already for CPI, what we've seen is that CPI is way higher. It's over in the 5-8% range versus 3%, which was what we're getting here. So like I said already, because of the way that the price increases are approved, if it increases, then we cover the cost. So it's not being borne 100% by the residents. It's what the cost was at that point in time. I hope maybe that explains a little bit.
Does Waste Management have a compost facility?
We do have a compost facility. We have one. It's in Tulare. It's in Central California. This is where we'll be taking all of the food waste and green waste collected from our cities. This facility can handle the two combined, which makes it easier for the resident to be able to put their food waste in their green waste can, not have to have a separate can. There is also different types of composting facilities that only accept food waste or only accept green waste, which then, of course, is more costly. Another truck on the street, another cart. So what we're doing for our customers is to have it combined, so it's an easier process. We know that's far. Of course, a lot of that costs us transportation in terms of getting the product up to the Tulare. So we are looking for other alternatives closer, looking in like the Palm Springs area. Keep in mind, people don't want to have a compost facility in their neighborhood, so they're going to be far out. They're not going to be close by, and plus the South Coast Air Quality Management District is so strict in letting those types of facilities be built. So they are going to be far out, but we are looking for alternatives to have it closer to hopefully decrease the cost.
Okay, but we do, as Waste Management, you do have a place already that belongs to Waste Management.
Yes.
Where you can provide this service, so you don't have to pay out to another company to provide the services for Waste Management.
Correct. Unless our facility becomes full, there is a limit how much we can take. So if it becomes full, then we'd have to start looking at third parties to be taking.
And speaking of that, if I recall correctly, you had said something about that becoming full, and that's why we needed to make a decision. Now, do you take compost from other companies or just Waste Management at your facility?
Currently, it's just Waste Management facilities.
So you're giving priority to the cities that you service?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'm trying not to add any more confusing information here, but Sam alluded to the food waste component that while it's in the Prop 218 notification that went to the public, in our staff report, we're recommending that we do not adopt and move forward with the food waste piece of the program.
Right.
And so that's a minus $2.60 or so. That's a far more strategic decision that we have to make later. and it's not the right time to make it now, which is why we're not recommending that we move ahead with the food waste.
Right. I just had questions about that, so it could be clear.
And I just want to make just another point to what Terry was alluding to earlier regarding CPI. So the contract does, in fact, limit the increase of CPI. Looking at what's happening this year, Terry said that it was around 8%. I'm seeing the same thing. However, the contract caps the CPI at 5%. So anything above 5%, Waste Management will eat the cost. And we'll see what happens, next year as we get closer to the next rate request.
And just to make it clear, we're not adding that charge at this time to this
Correct.
item on the agenda.
Yeah. So to be clear, it's the CPI, and then it is the green waste that we're talking about right now.
Yes.
Not the food.
Yeah. So it seems that at this point we're kind of in a time crunch. Oh, Terry's right there. That's okay. I didn't know where you went, but and then so you mentioned something important, right? If we don't take action now, there's a risk that you might run out of space, and then we might have to figure out a potentially more expensive alternative or something.
Right, exactly. There's a limit to how many of these facilities there are permitted in the state of California. So, yeah, that's always that chance.
That's interesting. There's a limit of how many of these facilities are permitted, but yet they're adding all these requirements. That makes no sense, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. I appreciate the information from Sam and our city manager for working with waste management on this, and for now putting the one fee. So as I understand it, Terry, what we're really doing at this point is we're locking in the future ability for us to deposit the waste that we need at your facility up north. Not doing that puts us perhaps at a potential bind where other cities that you service or other locations, third-party locations, may also prevent us from going to their facilities at a later time, because other cities would have already perhaps locked in some sort of contractual services to move their items to their sites. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. No, thank you. I just wanted that clarification for myself and for the public.
Thank you, Terry, for clarifying.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. So I think that, not a big, like I said, I understand every resident regarding the raises. It is a tough time. And, I think that it's important that we direct staff to bring back a report on the possibility of giving a rebate to our residents with ARP money. Like I said, one of the possible uses is utility assistance. And this way, we lock in our place at the location. We don't continue increasing the back pay for this raise, and the residents won't feel the hit.
And with that, we're including our businesses as well.
Yeah. So one more question, Terry. Sorry. Does everybody has a green bin?
Yes.
Even so, what about businesses?
Businesses are a whole different story. They the law for food waste recycling for businesses has been in effect, I'm thinking since 2018, I believe. It's been voluntary and it was phased in. It was first they had, if they had 8 yards or more of trash, they had to have food waste. Now it's down to pretty much everybody. Every business is going to have the food waste recycling. The difference with this new law with SB 1383, which is what we're talking about tonight, is that it's no longer voluntary, it's mandatory. So within the law, it has enforcement mechanisms for the city that requires a city to start enforcing residents and businesses to be recycling their food waste. So that's going to be a big change come 2022. Right now it's been voluntary, and I have to say there's very few businesses that have it. They do also have green bins. That's what we provide because food waste is so extremely heavy. To have it, into a bin is just, it gets way too heavy. So we do provide carts for the businesses. But like I said, there's very few that have it. And just so you know, too, multifamily properties, they also have to recycle their food waste, green waste. It's not just, it's everybody. It's going to affect every single person, business in California.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to double check on that. So I think staff can do a report on a rebate. Of course, we want to make sure that we prioritize right. So maybe they can connect with Terry and figure out how the increase affects our local businesses. And then, of course, it's going to affect the residents. Everybody has to have that green can, correct? Yeah, so we can look at how it affects our residents, and then we can look at how it affects our businesses, and that way we see what the avenue is best so that we give that relief.
Because every business, even though they're not restaurants, they have food waste, because they have employees that have lunch and they have to dump their food. So
exactly,
it's important to look at all the avenues.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, on your point of whether everyone has a green bin, we have to ensure, Terry, that before the charge for the green bin goes into effect, that everyone does have a green bin provided. Because, they may have been lost over the last few years. They get broken, get swept away. So we'll just jointly make sure that everyone has a green bin in their home.
And that's a good point. I agree. We need to do that. But I also wanted to make sure that also council knows that part of the law is that all the carts have to be uniform across California. So you might start seeing, actually, I know we've already been deploying them in Baldwin Park, but we're phasing in the new carts that are being required by the state. So what's going to happen is all the carts are going to be a dark gray, almost black looking. There'll be a black lid for trash, a green lid for green waste and organics for food whenever we adopt that program, and then there'll be a blue lid for recycling. It's not going to be gray, and it's not going to be the full color body. It's going to be all the same color, just the lid will be different.
So you're replacing all the bins.
So we have until 2034 to do that. The state's giving a long time for this to happen, but what we're doing is as somebody orders a new cart, if their cart broke, they're going to get the new cart. Or if they're a brand new customer, they're going to get the new cart. So you might start seeing those and wonder they look kind of weird when you see them out there.
Okay.
That's what's happening. And we've been
You think they'll require us what color our houses need to be?
I know. The state probably
Oh, my
dictate that
goodness,
pretty soon.
please.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
Thank you, Terry.
So I kind of did a quick math. I don't know exactly how many accounts we have. Terry, do you have an idea of how many accounts?
We sent out a notice to every account holder. It was 11,509.
Oh, okay. So that's perfect because I was doing the math, and I just estimated that we had maybe 20,000 people who would need rebates. So at the math, if we offered 20,000 people a $70 rebate for the year, it would be 1.4. So we can, considering that there's considerably less, there's a good potential to help out our residents with their bills. So if we can give direction and we can all give consensus on that. Great. So staff has a clear direction to bring back a report on the possibility of aiding our residents with their utilities. And then there is a motion to be made for a public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to make it?
Yeah, there is the question of opening the public hearing to hear public testimony.
Sorry. So I was under the impression that we already did the public hearing, so we didn't have to do it. But I don't mind doing it again.
Oh, I don't think it's been open.
Not for this item, no.
Oh, okay. Well, at this moment, I will officially open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Regarding item number 7, conduct a public hearing and consider adoption of resolution number 2021-033 entitled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Baldwin Park, California, adopting the amended fee schedule for fiscal year 2021-2022 solid waste collection and recycling services. Anybody who's looking to speak in favor can go now.
Okay, I have a small complaint about the waste management. It seems always fine for any such small thing, no matter if it's full or not full. Look at the things, here's the picture, they send it over. and the trash was not folded. The branches were a little bit out. The same picture for nothing.
I'm sorry, sir. This is for a public hearing, sir. This is for a public hearing, and the item in question is whether you're opposing or you're in favor of the rate increase. It's not an opportunity to address the council on any other matter.
Okay.
A ver, ahorita la oportunidad para que puedas hablar es para si estás tú a favor o a contra que suban el rate, ya.
Me levanté porque estaban hablando acerca de waste
Sí,
management.
no, porque es nomás para el public hearing, pero si quieres, esa nota que tienes el complaint, si gustas, habla con Terry, está mira atrás de ti, explícale tu situación porque ella es la persona adecuada que te puede ayudar y asistir. Enséñale tu nota y explícale a ella, por favor, todo lo que te ha pasado con los fees. Y ella te va a poder ayudar. Ok, gracias, a ver.
Okay, so at this moment, if anybody's looking to speak in favor, you can come on up. All right, and at this moment, I will move on to anybody speaking against. If anybody's looking to speak against the raise, now's your time.
Mayor.
Yes.
For the record, we did receive 13 letters in opposition. One of the letters had 112 signatures. I believe that was provided to us earlier, but so for the record.
Yeah, I did see that email. And then if you could maybe forward us a copy of the other ones, just so we can kind of read them. Yeah, so I think at this point, we've really done our due diligence. We've heard everybody out. We really looked at all the schematics of the process and what happens if we don't and what happens if we do. And I think that we've come up with a perfect solution. Not perfect, but a really a perfect. I don't want to say perfect, but a really good solution, right? Where we lock our place in with the green waste, but we also make sure that our consumers are not going to feel it. We can do that rebate. So if anybody wants to make a motion, now is your time.
Mayor,
sorry. I officially closed the public hearing regarding item number 7, and now the council has the floor.
Yeah, Mayor, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve item number 7.
Second.
Any objections? Okay, so because it is a public hearing, City Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Yes. 1 second, please. Councilmember Daniel Damian?
Yes.
Councilmember Monica Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Paul Hernandez?
I think he's on mute.
Did you say yes? Councilmember Paul Hernandez?
He's on mute.
I think you're on mute. Councilmember Paul Hernandez? Mayor Pro Tem Alejandra Avila?
Yes.
Mayor Emmanuel Estrada?
Yes.
And Councilmember Paul Hernandez, one more time. Is he on mute? Okay, that vote will count as absent for the record.
Got it. Okay. So at this moment, that item passes. As I said, staff, you have clear direction to bring back a report on the potential of rebates. And then we will move on to reports of officers, and that's approval of agreements for communications and social media services. And I think we still have the representative from Trepepi. And I don't know if there's anybody else here from the RFP. But if not, if you can come up here, you can make your way to the microphone, and we can ask you some questions. So I think it's evident that Trepepi and their organization is very diligent in following up with this item.
Yes.
And we've seen you here, and I believe I don't know if it was you or another representative at the first meeting, and I know that you've been following up with council via email, and we have your RFP. Who took care of this RFP? Was it you, Manny? Oh, okay. Well, was it under you?
It was a city team that took care of it. We presented what essentially we have deemed to be the list of qualified vendors. So any one of the vendors listed on the report are qualified. So you're free to choose any one or any number of them. That's the essence of our report.
Great, thank you. And I know that when we were looking at this RFP, our main point was making sure that we had somebody that would have a good communication with the press releases, and I think that was some of our priorities, right? Engaging with the media, and then so Manny, I don't know if you've seen the RFPs or what the RFP was for, but I know that Parks and Recreational Services takes care of a lot of our social media and things like that. So is there anything that you particularly or your department might need assistance in?
I thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I think we always need assistance with press releases, in particular, reaching out to the media in making sure we get contact and possibly if they could make it out to the events. But that type of contact is always helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. I have a quick question, and thank you, Manny, for that. And that's one of the questions that I have. What is it that you do? So we do press releases so that our events, our important events, get to the higher press, where it's put out, like in the Tribune or TV, if we need it. How do you make sure that that's happening? Because I haven't really seen it happen. There's a lot of things that should have been a good press release, that the paper should have picked it up, and I really have not seen that. What would you do different to make sure that all our events and all the positive things that are happening in Baldwin Park get out there?
Sure. So I'll first start off with a Trippi Smith axiom that we often say, which is content time distribution equals impact. And the idea of that is that you can have a great message, but if you don't put it in the right channels, then that message isn't going to get anywhere. And similarly, if there's a story out there that maybe you didn't put out, but that doesn't reflect well on the city, and that makes it to a lot of distribution channels, you can have misinformation or otherwise information that's, again, misrepresenting or poorly reflecting upon the city, that makes it to a broad audience and, of course, affects, broad perception of the city. So that being said, when we start with the story, we'll just assume, that we have a story that outlines all of our facts and whatnot, or a press release. When it comes to distribution, that seems to be, I think, the hiccup that at least I personally have experienced with a lot of my city clients. And I can give you an example with the city of Doherty, your neighbor, just, a couple of miles east. We've been working with them for a year on an ongoing retainer engagement, actually very similar in size to this one that we've presented to you. And what we did there, aside from writing their press releases, is actually build out their media distribution list. So Trippi Smith does this manually by researching journalists that might be interested in publishing on city news. And we also have a tool called Meltwater that we use to source those journalists. We'll then cull those into some kind of platform. So in the case of Doherty, we use something called Constant Contact, an email marketing platform. And we'll send the emails out to the media distribution list. And then, of course, we identify the PIO, or otherwise a point of contact for the media there. And at times, if we get media contact, then we will help the PIO address those inquiries. And I would just note that in the case of the city of Doherty, similar to a lot of cities that are in the outer regions of LA, where the media market is just fully saturated, smaller city stories really do get lost, and that was something that staff and council at Doherty really wanted to change. And I'm very proud to report that we've since gotten Doherty into a bunch of different publications. We're seeing more and more traction, and I think that is attributed to our updated media list. Another thing that we did specifically for them is actually update a press release template in Constant Contact that was more visually digestible than what they were previously using. And so there's a variety of tactics that can work depending on the city's current tool set, as well as your goals with who you're trying to reach. But those are just a few of them.
No, actually, thank you so much for being here. I know this is the second time that you've been here. I actually did have a chance to review some of the RFPs that came through. I know there was quite a few big stacks, and I was actually satisfied with what you guys brought forward. I've also asked a few questions, and if it's okay, Mayor, if anybody has any more questions, I would like to make a motion to...
Councilmember Damian, if I may?
Oh, you're back?
Yeah, I've been.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Perhaps, and just for our clarification, with the database and constant contact and so forth, what's generally your percentage of open rate when you're sending out stories, just to give us an idea?
I'd have to look that up. I will say, I can look it up, but I will say that actually in the case of 40, our press releases were actually getting the highest open rates among the emails that the city is sending out, which also includes a weekly or biweekly email digest. And the way that we go about, I can say strategically in ensuring that we're getting higher open rates is one, a platform like Constant Contact actually has the technological infrastructure to get past a lot of common spam blockers that you'll otherwise see with, say sending it straight out of Gmail or Outlook to media contacts. Those can get flagged as spam. And then secondly, we will play around with our subject and pre-header text, which is the first thing that people will see before they open an email. So those are just some, I guess, anecdotal information. But in terms of open rates, which this is also in your guys' proposal, we do report on metrics, and we propose doing so on a monthly basis for you guys. So that would include metrics on things like constant contact emails, whether it's a press release or just otherwise some community emails, and then also all of your social media channels. And let me see.
Perfect. And while you're looking for that,
Yes.
or you can just give that to staff at a later time. The database that you create as you populate it in Constant Contact or whatever other platform you're using, MailChimp or Nation Builder or whatever the case may be, does the city own that or retain the rights to that after our contract expires with you?
Yes, absolutely. Any accounts that we will make, so this can go for an email outreach tool, like I've mentioned Constant Contact or MailChimp or any of the other ones that are available, or things like Linktree that you might use on, say, an Instagram bio to house a bunch of different links, since Instagram only allows one. Any of those kinds of platforms will remain in control of the city. And in fact, when we establish them, we request that we have a city email address, whether it's a general catch-all or a specific staff person who can maintain that parent control, and then simply give Tripeppi Smith access, whether it's directly with a username or password or through some other mechanism, depending on the platform.
Excellent. And just my last question, Councilmember Damian, will staff be available 24 hours or have at least a contact 24 hours should an incident of high mortality be around, that we could work with you during the evening of something of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. That is something that we actually pride ourselves on. That's something that we've been with many agencies through. And yes, we would be available 24/7 to assist in any way that's needed on behalf of staff or the council. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Councilmember Damian.
So, Councilmember Damian, before you make your motion, so I just want to emphasize, I think that the city can definitely use help in making sure that we have a good image and that we have good communication with our community and, of course, organizations. But I know that our Parks and Recs team is also, I think they take pride in managing a lot of our social media. So by all means, I think I just want to emphasize or reiterate or figure out, is this on an on-call basis that we would be using them?
Yes, you're right. We will always look at what we can do in-house, and anything that's not within our capacity or ability, then we will go to them. Okay, great. That's one of my concerns, because I know, I think Helen is one of the main people that run our social medias, and I know that our staff likes to get creative, and I, by all means, don't want to take that away from them.
Yes, Mayor. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that our press releases get out there, get noticed, things that are going on in Baldwin Park. That's very important, because, again, I haven't seen it in the past.
Yeah.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Damian, the floor is yours.
Yeah, perfect. With that, I would like to make a motion to pass item number 8.
I think you would make a motion to contract with
Tripeppi Smith for social media services.
Second. I love the name, by the way.
What's that?
I love the name.
Oh, Great.
So is there a history behind the name? Because I know Smith is the last name of the CEO, correct, of the founder.
Yes, yeah. So Trepepi and Smith are the last names. Well, one's a maiden name, but last names of our co-founders. So yeah, Trepepi's one, Smith's the other.
Nice. Okay, so there is a motion on the floor, and it is seconded. So is there any objections? If not, motion passes. Your motion passes to engage in a contract with Trepepi Smith. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being so diligent. I think it really shows the council and staff that you're definitely interested in the partnership.
And staying out here so late with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so I believe at this point we are done with our agenda items, and I will hand it over to our CEO, who has who is looking for direction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very brief, and we need no more context for this topic than what we have witnessed today in Councilmember Damian's family, but the urgency of actions that need to be taken, both individually and as an institution. And so, we're now a year and a half or so in the beginning of the pandemic, and the city has taken measures and actions both on the city staff and, of course, at the community at large with the partnership with Kaiser Permanente and many other things that have already been mentioned. But specific to our staff and Baldwin Park as an employer, I'd like to introduce the notion of engaging in a discussion now, at a policy level discussion over the next few weeks, as to what more we ought to consider as an employer. Right now, as you know, everybody has come back to work. We're following the guidelines with masking and everyone being masked in indoor settings. We have asked, our Human Resources Department has been very diligent in trying to gather information about our employees' vaccination status, voluntarily to be submitted. And we continue to be diligent about sending out constant reminders to give our human resources staff, under confidentiality, of course, the status of vaccination. With all of that, we are barely touching 50% based on the records vaccination rate. And, we know that there may still be employees who have not turned in their information. And so we know that other cities, federal government for now, as you know, they have already introduced the idea of requiring vaccination or requiring weekly testing. The state has done the same. The county just announced the same. The city of LA, the city of Pasadena has began the policy process of requiring vaccination as an employer. And so I want to introduce the discussion for now. For council to consider giving us some general direction, we can simply be on a monitoring and research basis, or we can start developing a policy position paper to bring back to the city council in a time certain, toward the end of the month or at some other time frame.
So, I think I want to thank Enrique for taking the initiative on a discussion. I know that it's a tough one to have, especially as an agency, but overall an agency that employs people. I think the first step would be to have a study session so that we can look at what's happening in other cities, of course, specifically here in California, and even better here in the county itself. That's to look at what type of things public agencies are doing, and then what are private entities also doing as well. I know a lot of companies which include Amazon and a lot of retailers, what they would do is they offered a bonus to anybody who would get vaccinated, and for your first vaccine, you got paid for a certain amount of hours, and for the second one, another one. So I definitely want to have this discussion, look into it, just so that we discuss it, and then maybe after that study session we can have a better conversation. But we definitely want to look at incentives, liabilities regarding HIPAA or any sort of litigation, and look at alternatives for the people who either can't or are unwilling to get in to get the vaccine.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
thank you for bringing that up. And yes, we're all very concerned, not only about our health, but the health of everyone. But I agree that we really need to look into it. Liability, I mean, what are the legal repercussions, if there can be any, for requiring a vaccination? Because I believe that it goes into your personal rights, to choose to vaccinate or not. And I know a lot of schools are implementing that if you want to go back in person, you have to prove that you have vaccines. So we can research it and we can make a good decision that's best for everybody. I know personally would be for everybody to get vaccinated, but that's not how everybody sees it, and everybody has the right to choose. So let's look at everything so that the right decision can be made without impeding on anybody's rights.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. Well, I know that this week the city of Almani canceled their council meeting because somebody tested positive on their staff. And so that makes me wonder, if we're being a little bit nonchalant here at the city. There are cases that are rising amongst the unvaccinated, and then there are breakthrough cases amongst the vaccinated. I know within the last couple of weeks, 3 people that were vaccinated and, had pretty intense symptoms. One of them was hospitalized in the last few days. And so, for me, I will be taking the measures to protect myself, and I probably won't be attending council meetings. I'll probably be attending by Zoom until there's a little more certainty, and perhaps even with the booster, when the booster becomes available. But I don't want to just look out for myself. I want to look out for our staff. And, thank you for that report about the number or the percentage of employees who are vaccinated. I want us to be really diligent about tracking, any positive cases, and maybe coming up with a policy and protocol, a policy of when somebody tests positive, what is the protocol immediately thereafter? I'd like to be more preventive and look at staggered schedules with staff, but I don't know if that's going to be disruptive to our city operation if people have already acclimated to being in person, getting back into the normal schedule of things. So preferably, I would like us to consider staggered schedules as a preventative measure, keeping the distance, because I can only imagine that wearing the mask for 10 hours a day, does everybody really wear a mask for 10 hours a day, 4 days out of the week? So I think that wearing the mask is important. Obviously, getting vaccinated and incentivizing vaccination is important. Some organizations are requiring the vaccination. I don't know if we want to consider going that far. But I do think that we need to be taking the social distancing serious, and that's why I would, as a preventative measure, like to consider a staggered schedule for employees. But if the council isn't in support, then, like I said, maybe we can come up with the policy of if somebody tests positive within the city, just what is the protocol? Do we respond within that department only, within the floor? Let's think through how we would respond. Like in the city of El Monte, somebody tests positive, they canceled their council meeting. That's a protocol, I guess. That's a precedent that has now been set in their city. So I'd like us to be able to think through how we will respond, because with the cases rising, unfortunately it's probably just a matter of time. So I do know that the county, the public health department is not allowing for gatherings within facilities. And so that makes me wonder, are we gathering here in this facility? Yeah, we are. And so my question is, like, what is the county public health, what is their policy on it? I know that they've also allowed for gatherings outside. So we just had our event this past week for National Night Out. And I guess that would be an approved gathering according to the Department of Public Health. So I think it's important for us to take those things into consideration as we explore and as we further discuss. But I did want to say that I will probably be joining by Zoom in the next few meetings until there's a little more certainty. And I advocate that we take the safety of our employees into consideration.
Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I just want to say I hear what Ms. Garcia is saying, and of her wanting to stay home and not home, do her meetings through Zoom. I understand that. I feel the same. I'm back at work. Actually, I've been back at work since October with students in class, because all the parents that bring their students into my facility, they have no option, but they have to go to work. So the staff, my staff, has no option. They have to go to work. So, I was given a time, well, you can work 2 days from home, you can work 3 days from home. And I thought, okay, that's great, but the rest of my staff is here. Why do I get to work from home? So I think that until we develop a policy, whether we're going to continue staggering staff, which they were at one point. Certain staff were coming in certain days of the week, and I know it worked at times it didn't because of the demand in work. I think, well, at least for me, to be fair, if my staff is coming in, and I think I should be coming in, because I need to set the example. I can't demand of you to be here, and I'm not going to be here. So, but we do need to look into that, and if we could stagger the employees to come in different times, that's great. But we definitely need to look into it because of the surge, but I just want to make sure that it's fair for everybody. Our police officers, unfortunately, they don't have a choice. They have to be here. Right? Have to be here for our safety, and there's so much to think about. And yes, I care about my health. I already had COVID once. Do I want to get it again? No, I don't. Do I want to bring it home to my little baby grandkids? I don't. But life does need to move forward, but we need to be cautious. We need to protect ourselves as well as those around us, whether it's our family members, our coworkers, our staff members, everybody. So when we consider something, whatever is fair for everybody and not what's fair for one department and not the other. But sorry for the police department, there's no other choice. I'm sorry about that. But just be fair that we're following a process fair for everybody, that everybody's getting that same opportunity to work from home if necessary, or just don't do it at all. Everybody is here, and we're all here working together.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. No, this is great conversation, great discussion at a policy level. I think at this time we don't have enough information, to make a decision one way or another. I certainly welcome, a thorough discussion in our public study session, perhaps in 2 weeks, that staff can bring back that information that you requested also, not only of what other cities are doing or counties, but really we need to understand what we should be doing, and also understand when staff brings back that information, share with us how disruptive it was when we did have a positive case or cases. In some instances, there was a time where we had multiple people infected within department. So if we can just bring back that information, and I think our general managers or directors could certainly provide more insight to that report as a basis, right, for us to use it as a foundation as we move forward on this very timely but needed discussion. Because given what the county health department is reporting, things are not getting better. I really wish they would, but that's not how the numbers are being driven right now. So I suspect in 2 weeks, the numbers will be even worse than what they are today. But if we can just bring that information to us, in 2 weeks, that would be ideal for us to have a much thorough conversation in regards to how we should look at this challenge, and perhaps even an opportunity, right, in changing the ways that we do things, that we so we'll look till then. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think it's definitely it's a very long discussion that we have to have. It's not just simply for people to stay in home. I think there's a lot of measurements that we have to take into consideration. We're not just a organization, we're a public agency, or we're a public organization, we're a city, and the duty of the city is to offer services. So if every time that we completely shut down City Hall, services are hindered or slowed down for our residents, and that's something that we have to take into consideration. So we should be looking at proactive measures to prevent these things, but we also have to keep in mind that we have to keep the city operating and making sure that we're able to offer services to our residents at a proficient rate, especially now that we're looking at how we're going to offer services. We just talked about people looking for rent assistance. We're talking about utility assistance. We're talking about all these sorts of initiatives that we want to take. So, and of course, it's not going to be as easy to communicate. Also, we have to realize that we're not just gathering here, we're running and conducting official city business. And when we conduct official city business from Zoom, I think that there's a very noticeable difference in how much we can get done, or not just, or efficiency, right? Because everybody's on a whole different network. Everybody's connected to different internet. There might be something slowing down a certain council member's internet, or one of our staff members, or somebody who's here to present. So that as well takes into effect. So as a city, we do have to consider not just the safety of our employees and our staff, but also the efficiency that we're able to provide our constituents with when it comes into services. So we can also look at how we can better increase our preventative measures in the office. Can we provide a better filtration system? Is it time to upgrade our systems in the council? I mean, in the not just the chambers, but also our city hall. So that's just something that I think is also worthy of taking into consideration. And also, as we look to with ARP money, we've also talked about upgrading our infrastructure, and not just our physical infrastructure, but our internal infrastructure. So we're talking about increasing our ability to better our AP checks machine, and we're talking about telephones, internet, our systems, and that's also an important issue, right? How can we increase efficiency at City Hall so that we can stagger our staff, so that we can separate them and keep them as distant as possible while not neglecting our community. So I think these are all things that we have to keep in mind. And of course, for Enrique, when you guys bring back that study session. But other than that, I think it is an important discussion to have.
And Mayor, if I can add, I don't think we're in a position to shut City Hall down. I think that, that action was taken at a time where there was great uncertainty. And so, our local government at the county and then our state government, they recommended the shutdown. I hope that we're not going in that direction. I don't think that we are. I hope not. We're not. But if we even look at today, in the council chambers as an example, when you have a staggered schedule, it just means that, you have some employees that are working from home, some employees that are working within the organization, and perhaps it's alternated by week or, however many days. And if you use this as an example, let's say we were on a staggered schedule here, you cut half of the presence and there's a greater social distance, and it's less exposure. So I just want to advocate that for our city employees. We have the ability, and the decision-making abilities to create that kind of environment for our employees. It's fully within our responsibility and our duty to take that into consideration. And I agree that we should not cut back on service, but really it's about encouraging the social distancing. And it does get difficult to wear the mask 10 hours a day, 4 times a week. I was one of the first when they lifted the restriction. I was, let's go and enjoy life now. But I am seeing the signals, and I just don't want to put myself or our city staff at greater risk than necessary. So let's look at it from that launching point.
Yeah, and so I know that it's a different time when the pandemic first happened. So, but at the end of the day, it's just measuring how did that affect services to the community, right? So, I'm not saying it wasn't necessary to shut down before, but I'm saying that now, moving forward, we want to make sure that we consider not just the staff's well-being, but the communities as well. So we're going through a pandemic. We're looking at things might surge. It's our duty, not just as council members, but also staff, to make sure that we are here to accommodate those needs. Just like police is out there, regardless of the situation or regardless of the climate out there, they're going to be out there because that's their duty. So we have to also consider that as well. Not only that, but city staff were, sending you home, and how does that increase in cost on you? Now, do you need to upgrade your internet? Do you need to upgrade your phone line? Do you have a phone line? Do you have a cell phone? How good is that reception in your home, right? So there's a lot of things to consider. I don't think it's just a simple go home. I think it's a real, we really have to look at what are not the consequences, but what are the side effects, right? How does that impact our services to our residents, which, our residents are still looking for services, whether it's something small or something big, but they still need that service. So, of course, we want to keep our city staff safe, but our community as well. So I think, there's clear direction to bring back all alternatives, have a study session, and then we can have further discussions once we see all those things in place. And then, of course, the next request, and I shortly talked about it when Assemblywoman Rubio was here, was we want to make sure that we are coordinating with other agencies. So our county agency, our county Board of Supervisors office with Hilda Solis, and of course our state reps, to make sure that we're not constantly reinventing the wheel, right? We don't want to duplicate our efforts and then money's going to go to waste. There's a timeline on the money, and we want to make sure that we offer as many services as possible. So if we can connect with the state and have a strong connection with them on how to disperse those that rental aid, then the city can now consider something else with our funds so that we offer a multitude of services that otherwise we wouldn't be able to offer, right? And if county's offering rental aid, then we want to make sure that our residents are aware of that. Or if county, I believe, is going to be offering a multitude of services, I think, that include aid, immigration aid and things like that. So then that's something that we can keep in mind. But we also need to be able to make sure that we are able to facilitate the transaction between our residents and the higher up agencies. So I think that's something that we all have to keep in mind. And of course, our staff, as we look to aid our residents during this time. And so I believe at this moment we are at the end of our agenda. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. Manny has Manny has the secret weapon. He has Armando in his office, in his department, correct?
I have a twofer. I have Mike Salas and Armando Nava, excellent golfers.
Oh, wow, there it is.
Okay.
All right, and then I believe our city treasurer, Marie Contreras.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the police officers for the great night out that they had yesterday. I am so sorry I was not able to attend. I was not able to attend, but virtually I was here. Physically I couldn't. I heard it was a great success, and I just want to thank you for taking your time to do that. And please all the residents that get in line to get their backpack. If you had hot dogs, I missed that.
No hot dogs. I missed them
hot
too.
dogs. Okay, but that's okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't come. But just kidding. Anyway, just thank you, and God bless you, and take care of you for today and tomorrow and forever.
Marie,
Mayor, go ahead.
you didn't miss out on hot dogs, but you know what? You did miss out. There
yeah.
was a guest appearance. I don't know if you guys knew, but
McGruff
was there. I didn't get to see him myself personally, but I heard he was there, and
He was there.
I was so hurt that I wasn't able to
He
see
was
him.
asking for a bowl of water, but we didn't have any. But I do want to say it was a great event, and I want to say that I think this is the first time that I saw so many police officers and their families here. The chief's family was here. His son was taking pictures, and it was fun. But a lot of the police officers had their children here, their wife here. It was really, really nice to see them all out there having a good time, talking, letting our community know that they are keeping us safe. So thank you for that event. It was a great event. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was a great. I had a lot of fun. It was my first national night out, so I completely enjoyed it. I thought it was great too. You know, you pass by and you see an officer, and then the whole family's around them. Yeah, so it was nice. Yeah, so congratulations, Chief, and our PD on your successful event.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for recognizing that. Thank you.
Okay, and I believe we have one more item to touch up on in closed session. So at this moment, we will recess into closed session. Yeah.
Address this item?
Oh, get out of here.
You did?
Okay, Mark, we're gonna go into closed session. Okay.
Okay.